Mm-hmm.
All right. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
We're live. I am just going to wait until it pops up on the other screen because it always takes a minute. But this should be fun. We've got like a full house tonight. I have an ad playing, so we're almost there.
No, not full house.
What?
Never mind. I was going to make a joke that didn't make any sense because I was thinking Brady Bunch and how we all look over the Brady Bunch.
We do look kind of like the Brady Bunch. That's true.
Okay. I've never actually watched that show, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
Like it's iconic. Scene, it's like it is. It's definitely iconic.
I mean, I never watched Friends, but I know what their intro is like.
Same. Yes.
Right.
I know more than I should about Friends.
How much should you know?
Listen, we all had that period in college where we binge watched a sitcom maybe we shouldn't have, and that one might have been mine.
I watched Friends. Friends is awesome.
It's fun. I saw a lot of it in college because everybody around me was watching it. Yeah. Hi. Hello.
I grew up on Friends.
Everyone.
That's right.
I don't know what I grew up on for sitcoms. I think it was just Boy Meets World. But that's
not.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
Sister for me.
Sister.
Yeah,
reruns on
Fresh
Prince.
I watched
Fresh Prince.
I watched Boy Meets World solely because Mr. Feeney was played by William Daniels, who played John Adams in the original.
Is that what inspired you to be
just the ultimate nerd?
True, but that's a true story. That's a true story.
Did you guys watch Family Matters? Because I like Stephen.
I watched Family Matters.
I grew up on a lot of that.
Sabrina the Teenage Witch, the original was also one.
Yep.
Oh, we're really aging ourselves today.
We are. Seinfeld.
Right?
I watched a lot of Seinfeld.
Welcome to TBR versus mood reading, where we talk strictly 90s sitcoms.
My dad loved Seinfeld, so that was on a lot.
Yeah, we watched Seinfeld a lot.
I love Seinfeld.
Not like Seinfeld.
You don't like Seinfeld?
You don't like Seinfeld?
No.
I mean, I don't either, but that's because I've seen all the stuff that was inspired by it already. So it's like reverse seeing the sitcoms. It's not.
T.A. Summers. Yes. I watched it once a year, my 3-hour-long extended edition DVD.
Oh my God.
And I quote it the whole time.
Oh, man.
My dad, when we were growing up, made us watch the original Batmans and Star Trek. So that's what he made me watch on Sci-Fi Channel all the time. Back when we had.
You said original Batman to me, like the one and only like epitome of Batman is the animated series. But then I was like, oh yeah.
No, I was thinking of the 1960s, like way back.
Man, we should just like change the title of this. Like, let's talk about 90s television shows.
Say we may not all mood read, but apparently we all mood TV watch.
Or did as children. So, okay, so we are here to talk about reading, and I thought this would be fun. Different. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I love a different world. Yes.
Nice. Hi everyone. So we're here to talk. Give people a few minutes to show up anyway. It's fine. But we're going to talk about TBRs versus mood reading and have like a nice group of people here. In case you don't already.
Sorry.
What?
Aggressive.
So for like an hour after school, I got a stupid email that says, hey, make sure you sign your contract electronically. But I couldn't log into the stupid website to sign my stupid contract. So I had to send an email to the help desk being like, why can't I log into this? So they sent me it back, and I just did their instructions, and I could not contain my joy that I was able to sign into this stupid website and put my name on this dumb contract that says, hey, guess what? You took a pay cut this year for the pleasure of teaching other people's children.
Congratulations.
Oh gosh.
Well, I don't want to take a tour.
Bethany, you can get us back on the rails, I guess.
Sorry.
Oh my goodness. Pay teachers more, people. Okay, so we have some mood readers in the comments. Yeah, so I thought this would be fun. In case you don't already know everyone, maybe we'll go around and everybody can introduce yourselves and your channels. Some of you have been on here a lot. Some of you have not. So,
all right.
Angela.
I am Angela. I've actually more been on her podcast than I have been on her channel.
True.
I mean, I recently was on one of your reading sprints last week, but my channel's Literature Science Lines, kind of your standard Booktube channel, wrap-ups, TBRs, fun stuff. And before Booktube, I actually did always kind of have a TBR, but not really. It was more like a what's coming in from the library next TBR. And I would like put holds in as I was interested in books. And when they showed up, I would just stop everything and read them, which meant I was horrible at my physical TBR, which I didn't know was called a TBR. I called it the 10 books I should read before I move. But that didn't happen. You know, like that was before the book internet. But yeah, I'm a TBR person.
Okay.
I'm Leanna from Leanna's Library. You may know me from such regularly occurring events as the Blades and Bodice Rippers book club. And I do post TBRs, therefore I'm a TBR person.
Although you didn't always. You kind of have
well, I did, and then I didn't, and then I did again, and yep.
All right.
Hi everyone. I'm
you next, Alex. Yeah.
Go ahead,
Oh,
Tori.
that's awkward.
Go ahead.
Oh no,
Tori.
go ahead.
No,
Okay.
I
Hi.
insist.
I'm Tori from the channel Tori Morrow. I read science fiction and fantasy, and I've been on Bethany's podcast a couple times, but never on a live show. So this is exciting. And
Have you never been
I don't know,
on
I
my
used to be-
channel? Really? Oh my goodness. Okay.
No, first time.
Okay.
Yes, all right. I'm excited for tonight. So yeah, I mean, I used to be a TBR person, like back when I started my channel, but I just kind of, I think maybe in the last like year or a year and a half or so, I just kind of phased out of the TBRs because I just realized I was never sticking to them. So just became slowly a mood reader over time, and yeah, just cruising like that.
Alan.
I'm Alan. And I have a channel at the Library of Alexandria. If you search that, it won't
You
come
still
up.
can't find it.
It's so difficult.
You have to search the Library of Allen or just Alexandria, and it will come up just fine.
It will
you
come
ain't-
up. You just have to change it. Like it'll say, actually search for Library of Alexandria, and you
Or-
force it.
And you have
click
to
the
say
link.
no. That's
Or
not
you
what I
can
want to do.
you can bypass passive aggressive Google algorithm, and you can just type Library of Allen or Alexandria with no library, and it'll pop up.
Okay.
I have a channel that is about books that I do TBRs for, and I got a $318 raise for a job well done last year during COVID. So, as I just saw on my contract.
Damn,
So
Alan just came
now,
in with flex.
look, now that I got that $318 raise, I can put my down payment down on my third beach house. So,
I actually
the
thought you were
high
going to pay a down payment on your third book that you own or something.
That's
Yeah,
what-
I-
Well,
Yeah.
it's a beach read, Leanna. So the beach house is in the book.
Yes. So I am a public school teacher and I teach children Latin. And there is literally no amount of teaching you can do that is ever going to make them understand past the threshold that they are willing to learn. So that is like, it's as if I angered Hades or Zeus and I am Sisyphus pushing a boulder up a hill. And every time I think I'm going to do better because I'm going to work hard at my job and get paid.
Alan, we didn't take your class. We don't get these references.
Listen to me. You've read Madeline Miller and whatever nonsense she's putting out. Anyway,
I don't read nonsense.
look, that's debatable. Anyway, I talk about books sometimes. Leanna is, but I do like Bethany and Angela and Tori and Alex.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
This
Did
is
you guys recently film a video that we're all anticipating, and that's why there's this more recent animosity?
No, because
Right.
somebody, somebody.
The problem is I don't really want to know.
That's how I am too. The first
After you
podcast I
spent-
did with Bethany was with
You
Leanna
spent-
about the
wait,
Way of Kings,
I
and
would
I
just
had to
like to
watch
say
it.
that Alan spent like 5 minutes of the video on my channel plugging the forthcoming, soon to be seen, much anticipated, the one all y'all really want to see a video that would be on his channel. Only be like, I'm not gonna do it.
We'll film it eventually. I just finished Hero of Ages, so I'm just trying to figure out how I feel about that.
Oh, that sounds hopeful.
I'll
Yeah,
try
I
to figure out
like
how to
it.
feel
I
about
like
it.
Okay.
Leanna, you don't like anything that isn't Joe Abercrombie or Pierce Brown.
Look,
I teach a kid named Pierce Brown, by the way.
she just liked the one Brandon Sanderson that a lot of people don't like.
But that's because it's written like the way she doesn't like adult fantasy to be written, but it's in young adult. So I'm sure it makes sense when it's in young adult.
I mean, I liked it too.
Well, I know exactly that's what you're going to say in your wrap up, right? Yeah,
No.
I
Leanna
know
likes it
Leanna's taste
because
now. I know
she
exactly
likes
when it doesn't
because
work for
other
me.
people don't like it. She literally likes it because other people did not like it. Therefore,
I mean, a lot of people do. Wait, a lot of people like Skyward. What is
you know
this?
what? A lot of people like Ember in the Ashes too, and it's not good.
I'm just saying, but like, it's not like I like the Sanderson book that everyone
Alan,
hates.
what is
A lot
going
of
on?
people like it.
Honestly,
You
if
are
Leanna
too
liked
picky.
Steelheart like a lot, I would be like, what?
I did not like Steelheart.
Steelheart is not
Steelheart
fun.
is not
You are
good.
too picky. Your life must be sad, hating every book that you come across because it's too picky. Your standards are too high.
We're never gonna know if Alex does a TBR or
It
movie.
doesn't
Oh,
matter.
Alex.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Did I say
I'm
if I
just
do a
here for the
TBR?
show.
I don't know.
This is what happens when these two get in a virtual room together. No one cares. Hi, I'm Alex. I have a channel too. I make TBRs because I have a channel. Otherwise, I wouldn't probably ever make a TBR because I would see no point. I would say though, I'm not turning into a mood reader, but my mood has changed on what I'm going to schedule to read because after reading nothing but fantasy for a long time, just the sheer page count is starting to bother me. So I've done a lot more sci-fi recently because unless it's Sun Eater, which are gigantic, it's shorter. And so I can read more of them and they're different because a lot of fantasy
Or
stars blend
Dune.
together.
Fantasy
Listen.
books are too long.
Don't read past Dune. The sequels are butt.
Also, Miss
I-
Alton
Uh-oh.
I like
Shots
Dune
fired.
as well.
Now
I
Bethany
disagree.
and Alex can
Yes,
fight.
I know.
Me and Alex.
I know Alex like missed the conversation. No, I think Dune Messiah is worth reading.
Sure.
'Cause
I
if you
haven't
don't
read
read it,
Dune.
like you don't get the fact
Sure.
that he's trying to subvert the white savior
I
trope.
think
like,
it's
the whole
there in
point.
Dune. It's just not very clear, but
Yeah,
it's still
but, like,
really there.
People,
You don't really
like,
get it until
intention-
Messiah.
Yeah,
and
you
that's
don't get it
fair.
until Messiah,
Yeah.
and people like ignore the signs. If you go
People
back
don't
and
read
read it,
But-
emails that they're sent from coworkers. Of course they miss
Look.
things.
I mean that, which is why
Yeah.
they need to read Dune Messiah.
In fairness, a lot of emails from coworkers didn't need to be sent.
They hit reply all. No one
That is
cares.
also
You can't
very
find your
true.
keys.
Oh, reply to all
I love
is
how
the
that's
worst.
exactly like Leanna's review of some books. Like this page, cut it out. Didn't need to be here.
That's true.
I mean, I'm just as critical of everyone else's writing, like professionally as well. I'm like, well, that was terribly worded. You know how confusingly you said this, how easier it would have been to understand if you had said it like this the first time.
I should just send you my thesis and make you read it, and then it'll be perfect.
There you go.
Or it'll make you question every life choice you've ever made.
I've already done that.
Yeah,
I'm a
that
7th
too.
year PhD. That's happened. Ship sailed. Gone.
So am I going to score your thesis on world building and character development?
Oh my gosh.
Oh, Laura, you're so funny.
I'm like so far up in the comments because I should look at these. I mean, nobody's shot. I feel like I'm a mix. I used to be like you, Angela, where like my TBR was kind of like whatever was coming in from the library. Well, and also I used to do this thing where I would find an author I liked, and then I would read everything I could get my hands on by them. And then when I ran out of stuff to read from them at the library, I'd look for another author. Like that was.
I miss those days so much.
Yeah.
I miss them.
Yeah.
But I will
now-
say that like I don't think it's an either or, because within a TBR you get to mood read, if that makes sense. So like if you structure your TBR well enough where you give yourself some diverse choices to choose from, then you're
If
like
you're Leanna,
in the
you add
mood
18
for
books every month. Like,
Yeah,
I
know,
mean,
Leanna.
like
I mean, that's what I
the
do
first
too, 'cause
time that
read
I put like 30 books on my TBR last year for October as well, and then that was the plan where I was like, I'm not going to read 30 books, but like these are the books that I would like to be reading in October, so I will be choosing from among these 30. And this year I was just like, well, what if I read them all?
I don't remember whose comment it was, but someone's comment really resonated with me, is that I would love to be a mood reader. I just never know my reading mood. Like I
I
don't
saw
always.
that,
Sometimes
yeah.
I'm lucky enough that I pick up the book where I'm like, oh yes, this is the book I want to read right now. But that's so few and far between, which is why just like if I'm required to read something, I'll just like pick it up and read it.
I think like I like having a structured TBR, but I am something of a mood reader. The way I get around it is I'm usually reading like 3 to 5 books at once in different genres.
Oh.
So like if I'm not in the mood for one of them, I'll read the one I am. You know what I mean? Like so that's how I make it work.
I can read one book at a time and have an audiobook going now.
That's
and
about what I
that is
max out
it.
at.
I cannot pick up more books than that. I will get confused, and I can't read Oh, thanks, Elizabeth. Someone said they disagree with me, and that is a broad statement. Like there are many things that I've said that I probably disagree with.
I think they were disagreeing with the Ember and the Ashes thing, or maybe it was around then that they came up.
It's entirely possible.
I like to think they disagree with your general slandering of me.
Anna, no one disagrees with that. No one disagrees with that. No one can read 30 books except
friends who are currently on the live. Are you going to let him say that?
Yes, they are, because they secretly don't like you and they're allowing you to have speak truth to power.
I mean, we all have skipped a Leanna review of a book we've loved.
I can neither confirm nor deny the truth to that statement.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you just don't go
there's
for
been
it.
a couple of there's a couple of Leanna's reviews I can't watch. I'm like, oh, I like hearing different opinions, but not right now.
But not
I watch
not
it
on
and
this
just
book.
laugh because I know it's gonna be just like, oh, I don't agree with this at
the
all.
problem is Leanna's they're not different opinions. They're purposefully hostile.
No,
Like,
that's
they're
not true. She just thinks that way.
They are not from an object like a calm and reasoned.
I mean, I just feel like the person who's yelling and baring their teeth, calling me intentionally hostile, is a little bit pot calling the kettle
people are going to be coming. So when you read Tori's and you're trashing Tori's favorite, you know she's going to watch. So you throw in those barbs.
No, she does not.
Quill.
Now,
Oh my
also,
gosh.
I will say there are
Awesome.
things that I won't watch on Tori's channel, but she's sneaky. She just like will casually give books I love 2 or 3 stars on Goodreads and not tell me about it and say she liked
So
it,
just super
but like
passive
really
aggressive.
Tori.
she doesn't. It's real sneaky.
Oh yeah, I
like,
liked it. And you look at
okay.
Goodreads, you're
Well,
like,
also Tori, like your rating, the way you rate books is rough.
I know.
Like, you're so
It
hard
is.
on them.
When you said the way you rate
I
books
wasn't-
is I thought you were going to say wrong.
No.
Oh.
No, I think she actually uses the Goodreads scale.
Yeah, I use the Goodreads scale.
That's what
So
I
like
do.
if it what is it, 2 stars, it was okay, or it was
Yeah.
fine or something, and then 3 stars, it's like I liked it.
it drives
good.
people insane. I get
2 stars
messages
does not
all
mean
the time
okay.
in
2
Discord.
stars means bad.
They're like, "Oh my god, you only rated
Yeah.
this 3 stars. Did you hate it?"
So,
I'm like, no, it literally
2
means
stars,
I
yeah,
liked
I've
it.
gotten that
That's
before.
it.
Yeah, 2
That's
stars
it.
like I'm bad.
2 stars is fine. Like it was fine, but I'll rate 2 stars, and Angela will be like,
2
it's like
stars for me is I want my time back. That's what
Yeah.
2 stars means. 1 star is it is egregiously harmful to humanity.
Yikes.
That,
I agree with
yes.
You gotta
1 star
embrace-
is like I hate it, burn it with fire. 2 stars is it was not good, but maybe some people would like it.
You got to embrace I had a good time with this book. 5 stars. Like
I am all
Spoken
for
like a
5 stars.
strumpet.
Look,
I definitely am I am a strumpet for 5 stars. I'm like, I had fun reading this book. There was cool stuff in here. 5 stars. And then 4 stars, like, this is pretty good. But there was this one thing that kind of bothered me a lot, but it was still really good. 4 stars. And then at 3 stars, you get, I liked it, but I didn't love it. And it's just like, that's 3.5 stars. And 3 stars is, it was fine. It was fine.
it was fine. It was good. I just rated Name of the Wind 3 stars. And I was like, it was fine. Like, it was good. It was, I forgot that's Leanna.
Leanna, if it helps, a 3 star from Tori is a 4 star from anyone else. It really is that.
Yeah. It is, yeah. It's like that.
I'm going to change my Name of the Wind rating to 1 star.
no, Alan.
What?
I just thought it was
See,
a
Alan
fine
does
read.
the things that he accuses me of doing, and I would never do. I don't make any ratings, any retaliatory.
Quit gaslighting. Stop gaslighting me right now.
Kim disagrees with Alan's general slandering of Leanna.
Most people do, because she's fooled everybody into thinking that she's the hero of this story somehow.
I think you guys, maybe you are long lost brother and sister. I don't know.
I mean, I think switching to logging my personal stuff on Storygraph helped me because it let me actually rate half stars. So now I can strumpet for myself 5 stars, but actually have 4.5 stars because I needed like 2 buckets for like I really enjoyed books.
Mm-hmm.
If anybody,
I know Beth, you do like 5 and 6.
I also do 4.5 though. Like I have but yes, 6 stars is like my I really, really loved it, and it's one of my favorite books of the year. Yeah.
I do sometimes read though.
Yeah. Well, because there are books that I really enjoy and I think are worthy of 5 stars, but I wouldn't necessarily call them like a new favorite.
Yes.
They
don't have to be.
Yeah.
5 star. The 5 stars is very inclusive ratings. Like, come on in. Come on in.
Yeah.
There are different tiers of 5 stars.
I feel like, if I'll give a book 5 stars, like
That's
it
very
might
true.
be because it's like a new favorite that I absolutely adored, or it might be just because like, Yeah, I liked it. I can't really think of anything to criticize about that. That was
Leanna, if you gave it 5
Yeah.
stars, it was written by Pierce Brown or Joe
I gave
Adams.
Skyward 5 stars.
To be a hipster.
How is it hipstery to give a Brandon Sanderson book 5 stars? That's the least
it's
hipstery thing I've ever done.
You know why.
Because it's his YA book.
Yeah, exactly.
What is great though is when you agree with Leanna, like she also doesn't like the Starless Sea, and I've never felt more validated, in my opinion.
Oh, I haven't read that one yet.
I wouldn't.
I hear
like
so many mixed reviews.
I can't watch. I can't watch that review. It's
I
fine.
wouldn't like the Starless Sea.
I know. Isn't it rough? See, we all have a video. We
It's
can't
okay.
watch.
It's okay. But you know what?
Yeah,
I will. Yeah, it's fine. But at least the thing is, though, is I feel like most of the time I watch Leanna's reviews and I'm like, look, the things you notice are not wrong. I just am not bothered.
Right.
Like that's usually how I feel. I'm like, you're not wrong. I just don't care.
Yes.
And that's my rule with faults in books anyways, is like, sure, no book's perfect and some faults people notice, but if I didn't notice while reading it, it didn't exist. Like it wasn't a big deal to me.
Heather, this is a good question. This has been an ongoing thing. And then they swapped TBRs and that went
Yeah, I think the official first
that
YouTube
went as well as we
version
could
of
have
World
expected.
Hoppers.
I think Leanna and I had kind of like buried the hatchet until we swapped the TBR, and then the feuding began anew.
I think
Yeah,
you
that's
declared that we
refused to
weren't
actually
really
read anything.
nemesis anymore, and then like the day after that, I gave Shadow and Summer 2 stars, and you were like, "Die!" So that's how that ended.
I mean, you didn't rank Night Watch correctly.
Oh, guards.
Guards, sorry, not Night
yes.
Watch.
You
If
gave
you
it
watched
3
her vlog, you
stars.
would have known it was going to be a 3-star.
Why would I watch her vlog?
I'm just saying, you would have
Because it's
known.
in my apothecary that you named that.
It's like 47 minutes, Leanna. And you
That's
also
what
read
makes
too
them
many
fun.
books.
just speed
That
it
is a
up,
good
speed
point
up the
about
video,
not
and we
doing
can watch more.
2 fantasies in a row.
Yeah, so
I can't read fantasies back to back.
yeah, I'll have to switch it up.
didn't know
Romance
you
is
watched
a lot of times romance is a palate cleanser for me.
Although,
I
I
can't read
mean,
the
I
same
would-
subgenre of fantasy back to back.
I was
too
gonna
often.
say, like,
Like,
fantasy
That's
could be
true.
like Dresden, and it could be Way of Kings. Like,
Yeah.
Mhm.
those are really, really different.
yeah.
I think it depends on where
It
you're
does-
at in the series too, though. Because if you're reading
Yeah.
like the first of 3 different fantasy series, like they're probably gonna feel pretty samey.
Yeah.
Well,
that's
depending on the subgenre, because I mean, it's true. Like if it's like an urban fantasy,
Yeah.
it's going to be different or whatever. But
That is one thing that was useful for me with YouTube, is like helping me keep track of all the series I'm going with. Because like I used to just read a series till I was caught up and then
Yes.
move on to the
Correct.
next one. And I still kind of do that, but now I read multiple series at once, which is like the newest thing since being on YouTube for me.
Yeah. If
But
I
like
did-
mood read. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Leanna.
Why is that hostile? Even that. I was gonna say I find mood reading quite stressful because if I'm giving myself permission to read whatever I want, then I'm like, I don't know, what do I want to read? Is this
Red
exactly
Rising.
the perfect book for this moment? I don't know. Maybe this isn't quite hitting the spot as well as something else might. Maybe I should be reading something else right now. Is this the one? Whereas if it's a
thinking.
TBR, I'm like, well, this is next, so
yeah,
gotta read it.
I don't have that.
I feel like I
problem
have like
with
I feel like I have kind of a mental TBR though. Like in my mind, I have an
That's
idea.
cheating.
Of, like,
You
what
do
I
have a
wanna pick
TBR.
up. No. So like I don't
Loosely.
know. I'll have like, oh, I want to read like 4 sci-fi books this month or something, and I'll just kind of like say, okay, well, what's next? And am I reading a series right now, or like, do I want to read a YA sci-fi? So I just kind of navigate it like that.
I want to support mood readers making TBRs just so I can watch the video, and then I'm totally cool if you throw it out. I am sure no one sits there with a pencil checking if you finished it.
Jake
actually
Bishop
do.
checks to see if I finished.
I
it or not.
certainly hope not, because
that's
There
a lot
are
of
people.
work.
There are people that will be like, "Why didn't you read this book? It was on a TBR." I'm just like,
Yeah.
That has never happened to me, and if it ever did, I'd just be like, because I'm a person.
But I mean,
Yeah.
Do you
But
know
by
how many
that same
people I had
token-
asked when I was going to finish Hero of Ages? When I was going to read Hero of Ages, a bunch.
well, that's
I mean, it
because you
took you
chose to read a
forever.
popular series. That's like different.
oh,
But I mean, I feel like by that same token, if I have a TBR that I tend to pretty faithfully stick to, but like once in a while, there is something that comes up where like, I really, really want to read that. You know what? I'm gonna throw caution to the wind and I'm just gonna say screw it and I'm gonna read it. And then it's now not stressing about, wait, no, I'm mood reading. Is this the right one for me right now? Now I'm just like, oh, I'm sneakily like playing hooky on my TBR and I'm actually reading this. And then I have like more excitement actually reading it because I'm like, oh, it's so naughty. I shouldn't be reading this.
I love that, like that's the naughtiness factor. It's like reading something
if
not
I didn't
on
have
your
a
TBR.
like I have to have a TBR to keep me like focused on what I'm going to read, because otherwise I would just read like Angela's talking about. Like I would just finish a series, and then my entire content that month on my channel would be like, hey, books in this series. You know what I mean? Like so I used to do that, but Booktube has made it to where I try not to read more than one book in a series.
I mean, you could just do other videos though.
I mean, I could. I mean, that's true. But then I get behind on reviews, and that stresses me out more than anything. Even though
just learn to not care. You know how many reviews I haven't recorded over the last couple of months? Because
look, I only do reviews for books that I feel very strongly about. I just talk about them all in my wrap.
On my TBRs, like I always TBR more books than I can actually read. So that does provide me a little bit of leeway. But the back half of this year, my TBR was entirely like crap I told other people I was going to read, or crap I have a live show about because I decided that we were going to have a live show about reading this freaking
I'm sorry,
book.
why is everything crap? I'm the hostile one, but you have crap to read that other people.
For stuff, Leanna.
Oh my gosh.
It doesn't mean actual
Needlessly
it doesn't
hostile. You
connote
could
quality.
say stuff.
It doesn't connote quality. It's just a word that means
Stuff is neutral.
No,
crap is
maybe
not.
in California, but here in the deep South, we say crap.
Is Florida the deep South? I think it's just
Part of
Florida. I
Florida
think it's different.
I mean,
Northwest Florida is.
Okay, well, I don't know. I mean, I honestly don't know a lot about Florida. I've
We are
literally
lower
only gone to
Alabama.
like Orlando.
Yeah,
We're lower Alabama. We are nothing
northern
like
Florida
Orlando.
is definitely the deep south. Yeah.
But also someone in the comments was saying that like they don't know what they do without the serotonin hit of like checking things off of a TBR. And I mean, yes. And not just TBRs. Like I make lists out of everything I possibly can. I've started meal planning mainly so that even eating, I can check things off of a list because I did those foods today.
I mean, I get that serotonin though when I add it to my like read list on Goodreads, and I can finally mark the star. I'm like, yes, that felt
But
good.
like when I finish a book, then I have my like the notes app on my phone that has my TBR with check boxes, so I can check it off there and mark it read on Goodreads, and then I update my total read on my Instagram, and I'm just like checking boxes everywhere. And I'm
I
do
it in my planner.
I have the
checking
same
across
planner.
them.
Yeah,
I love it. It's the best planner.
But when I move the physical book to the red stack for the month, which is
for anyone
like
wondering, this is the always fully booked planner. I think there's a few left, but she said she's not restocking once they're sold out. So
no, there were 4 types this year to choose from. It was fun.
I know.
I was excited.
I'm so excited.
A thing that I did change this year about my TBR versus last year, when like being in lockdown made my TBR absurd. Like it used to be reasonable, like 6 books, and then it became like 14, and then I was like, I can't. I'm like an 8 to 10 book a month person. That's my reading level. So I'm like a little bit higher than Alan, but way lower than Bethany and Leanna. Like I can't.
It's okay.
Oh, Leanna, you just did 30 books. Like I
yeah,
can't
but
even.
that's like aberrant.
Also, Angela, you're working on a PhD.
Yeah, I should work on it harder than I do. Do you guys not know that this is procrastination? This is procrastination. But what I did is I did realize that a reasonable goal is like 100 pages a day. So when I plan my TBR, I make it so it's about 3,000, 3,100 physical pages.
Oh.
And then I do have mood reading room there. Because like sometimes I can read like 4,000 pages a month. It just depends.
Yay.
That's true. I mean, doing things based on the number of books is ultimately almost entirely unhelpful, because like reading one book that is The Way of Kings versus 3 books that are like the Wayward Children series.
Yeah.
Because I'm also big on like attainable goals. Like if I'm going to make it like a challenge or a goal, I like trying to succeed. The attempt.
Yeah.
I don't. I like to set goals that I know I'm going to fail, so that I can wallow in self-pity afterwards and contemplate the choices. That have
I wish you told me this before we did the TBR swap.
Honestly,
hold on. Do you think that I felt successful finishing the 4 books we agreed to read in July in September? Do you think I thought that was a success?
I mean, if we had filmed the chat about it in September, maybe it would have been a success.
Sure.
So I think this is an interesting comment. What do you guys do about read-a-thons?
I hate them because they don't have enough rules.
I do not
have enough
participate in
rules, and so they
readathons.
do not take into account. If you are going to do readathons and you're going to split people into teams, you must cap it.
Not all
somewhere.
teams are no. Okay, so
Not all
Alan's only
readathons
participated
have
in like one
teams.
type of readathon. Most readathons aren't team
most
readathons.
readathons don't have teams.
Okay,
Like,
this is
most of them,
I'm
most
talking
of
about
them just
competitive
have
readathons.
like. Oh, okay. So, but like other kinds of readathons, where it's
well,
like
then
you
I-
have challenges.
I have no
that you-
opinion.
Okay.
I've never done one.
I don't
so-
read enough to get them done. Like again, 4 books. Ooh,
Yeah.
he did 4 prompts.
For me, it has to be like a monthly readathon if I want to try and complete the prompts, or it has to be tome topple because I always read tomes anyways, and it has to just like work with my natural reading pattern, and I have to be able to fudge the prompts.
It's funny because it's shifted for me.
Don't participate in readathons at all because of like my instinct to say don't tell me what to do is just too strong to be able to actually participate in a readathon.
That's true. You almost kept wanting to read Words of Radiance no matter how many times I told you not to. You were so close. I was like, stop.
Words of Radiance is good. So how dare
Juliana
you.
will not think it's cool. She will hate it.
Well, she doesn't like Stormlight, so why would you read 1,000?
I mean, a lot of
whatever pages
people,
of
a lot of
Stormlight?
people have said that Words of Radiance, even if they like Way of Kings, is better. So like originally people were like, well, the next one's better.
Sure.
I
So
don't
then
think
I
it'll
tried
fix
to
your
find out
dislike
if,
of
like-
Paladin. I don't think it'll fix your dislike of the dialogue. Like, I don't think those
It's still
things
written the
change.
same. It's still Stormlight. It's
Right, which is
the
like when
best of
people
the
were
4,
saying
but
that,
yeah.
I was like, well, so what's different or better about it? Is it the things that I hated? And if not, then no, thank you.
I mean, the pacing is faster, so maybe that's the difference. Is the pacing?
That seems inadequate.
Yes, for her hatred.
For her
yes.
hatred. Yeah. No.
I mean, obviously, pacing's not an issue for me since I love the First Law trilogy, which is like by most people attacked for its lack
Well,
of
yeah, but I mean, I
pacing.
think all of
That's
us
'cause
as
you
big
love
epic
it.
fantasy
That's what I'm
readers.
saying,
yeah.
but it's not like a book being slowly paced is going to be the thing that makes me
Right.
mad at it.
Right. It just would exacerbate you already not liking it.
Yeah.
Tori,
Whereas Bethany, who like gave it 4 stars, should read Words of Radiance.
I do plan to eventually. I like have all of them on my TV.
You have until like 2075 by the time the series
exactly.
is done. So
I'm not too worried.
It's fine.
I'm not too worried. Tori, readathons, do you do them?
Oh yeah, well, Tome Topple. I'm one of the Tome Topple hosts, so that'll be like the
yeah,
only
yeah.
time I'll
Okay.
make a loose TBR,
Okay.
and even then I have trouble sticking to it. But yeah, I usually make a TBR for Tome
Yeah.
Topple. So,
I love Tome Topple because all the hosts are like, you can go balls to the wall. Here are all the prompts. I'm reading like one book. Like that's the host of Tome
Yeah.
Topple.
Mm-hmm.
It's so
I
healthy.
say it all the time. I'm like, here are the challenges. I'm not doing these, but you can. So
I feel like
I
it's
always feel the
changed.
challenges.
Yeah. I feel like it's changed for me because when I first started YouTube, I did a lot of readathons because I like it. Like it's like a fun game for me to like find ways to fit things into the challenges. But now my reading responsibilities have grown to the point that I can't. So instead, what it is if I have friends running a readathon that I want to support, I will pick 1 or 2 of the challenges and put a book on my TBR for it and mention it in a video because that's like about what I can do.
I like, so like, what's the magical readathon? That one's one that I try to do because it's a month-long one. That's one I do.
Yeah.
And it's also usually
And then
attainable.
Yeah. Well, like Digithon is
Yeah.
this month, so
Yeah.
I'm trying to do some of that, and
I really like
Yeah,
the Asian
Space Opera
readathon. 'cause it's,
September
like,
is
usually-
another one.
The Asian readathon's fun because like it encourages you to pick different countries, and I think that's a fun game because I actively
cool.
do like doing that. So like I actually like had to find for me, I wanted to find a Malaysian author, and I was like, oh, this is fun, and I stumbled upon a book, and so that was cool.
I think readathons are more beneficial for people who can read a bunch of things in a month.
they are definitely beneficial for people who can read.
Yeah.
No, for people who can read a bunch in a month, because like if I only have 4 books I can read in a month, why do I need to fit them into some kind of slots? Like I'm just trying to continue a dang series. I don't need more barriers in the way of that. Like, read the first book in a new series. No. How about that? No, I'm not gonna do it.
That's something me and Alan can agree on. Don't tell us what to
Yeah,
read.
you have that. Don't tell me what to do. It'll be like optional challenges. Alan is like, don't tell me what to read.
I just don't make it harder to do the things I'm trying to do.
Right.
Dude, as a YouTube watcher, I love TBRs.
Me
I
too.
watch so many TBRs. They're my
Me too.
favorite things.
Word.
Yeah, and it's true. They do pretty well. Like I find my
Yeah, they do.
TBRs do pretty well.
TBRs and wrap-ups do really well.
There
TBRs
is
for me
this-
always do a little bit
Yeah,
better than
wrap-ups.
wrap-ups.
There
Really?
is some. There
Yeah,
is
they
some
do.
like.
Usually do a little better.
There's some snobbery though going around where people are like, well, I don't do regular booktube stuff like TBR videos.
Listen, we know who does
Well,
that.
Don't listen
No,
to
I
him,
mean,
Tori.
There
They're
are
the worst.
no, not people who just don't do TBR videos, but people who act
No,
like
people who
not
act like
doing
that.
TBR
Who
videos
call attention to the
is
fact.
some kind of
Yeah.
badge
No,
of
I'm saying
honor.
we all
Oh,
know
yeah, but they
who
don't do
the
it.
people
No.
are that do that.
What I'm
and
saying
they're
is
the
there
worst.
are a bunch of people who do that. Like you're
I
not.
know, and
some-
they're the worst.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. As long as we all know that these people are the worst.
I
We
mean,
know.
yeah, because
They're
like,
worser than me, Alan?
because like just like I
He's
don't
like,
know.
don't push it.
I mean, I do like, so Abby's been doing her like a mood reader tries a TBR like every other month. And I like that as like a nice compromise to me as a watcher of her channel. Like I get a TBR game once in a while because TBR games are cool. I don't think any of us do it because that would stress me out. I like to mood read, pick my TBR and then go. I don't want a game telling me what to do. It's like a forced read-a-thon.
Some of those TBR games, like they're so fun to watch, but I'm like, what is
Yeah,
going on
I
here?
know. I don't think I would do that either. I'm always like I've thought about it and then I'm like,
I love watching
I
them.
would get confused by my own rules if I tried to do that. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing here.
Again, I also like, I only own
I also
like
hate
15 to
games,
20
so I would
bucks.
never invent a game that I have to
Like
play
that.
with myself
What a
once a month.
Yeah, right.
What
Leanna
a
continues to
shocker.
be the worst. She hates
What a
games.
shock.
I bet you hate movies and puppies too.
Here's the thing though, Leanna doesn't hate games that are book themed because you own Talk and the Red Rising game. Do you own the Dune game yet?
Wait, what do I own? I don't own TAC.
Oh, you don't, but you just have the Red Rising
And I
game.
own the Red Rising game, but I've only played it once. And like, I mainly own it to own it because it looks cool and I'm a collector.
It does look
Yeah.
pretty.
All the character
Yeah.
art on the cards.
It's rolling. Probably.
It might be. Who knows?
One day they'll both give a book 5 stars and they won't know how to discuss it.
I think we both gave
Guns
Well of
of the
Ascension
Dawn.
5 stars.
Guns of the Dawn.
And
did
Guns
we?
of the Dawn.
Well, there you go.
What was the other one?
That.
There you go.
Well of
Ascension.
Ascension.
Well, Ascension was good.
We both gave it 5 stars.
See?
I'm changing my rating now.
Oh, Alan. I mean, he does hate Zane enough that I could see
Oh,
it being a 4 star.
Blackwing.
I'm amazed you gave it 5 stars with
Blackwing.
Zane
We agree on
existing.
that.
Mhm.
Okay, so the problem is, Well of
Yeah.
Ascension was so good that it overpowered Zane, and I don't know how because Zane
Impressive.
should have brought it down.
That's
Should
impressive.
If I ever read it again, I will literally skip every page that has Zane on it. Boop, didn't happen. Bye. Moving on.
Yeah.
Worst thing I've ever seen. What are you doing?
I love how Tori doesn't understand this. I think she's the only one here who hasn't read Well of Ascension.
You not read Mistborn?
No idea what's going on. I have not.
I read
The only
first
Sanderson
one.
I've read is
Oh, it was just me.
Skyward.
Ew. I don't know.
You're
I
not
don't-
alone, Alan. Not
Yeah,
everyone.
The only
Okay.
Sanderson I haven't read
I'm-
is any of his YA stuff.
I've read like piecemeal Sanderson. But I'm like weird too because I randomly, when it first came out, when it first came out in mass market, I guess, picked up the first book of Era 2, Mistborn, and didn't know it was like a later series from something else. And I really liked it. And the second book wasn't out yet. So I was like, oh, well,
Alex
there's a
was like,
prequel
no.
series. So I picked up book 1 of the original Mistborn and I was like, what is this? This is not the same thing.
They are not the same. No.
No, they're not. And I like Mistborn Era 2, Alex. Calm down. It's just different.
I like it too. It's fun. It's like a Western.
It's different
like,
because
buddy
it's
thing.
bad.
No, it's just
It's
not
not
epic
bad.
fantasy. It's just not
Exactly.
epic
Oh my God,
fantasy.
it's fun.
I'm
It's
actually
fun
excited to
Western
read
thing.
Mistborn.
I thought it was going to be
Alan,
cool.
you might like it
and I
more.
just
It's got more of
don't
that like
Era
like
2
Flintlock
is
thing you're into.
yeah, Flintlock, right?
Yeah,
It's like Western
it's like a Western buddy
mixed with
cop
Mistborn.
thing.
Yeah, it's
but
like a
terrible, and the
detective
characters suck.
Western.
The problem is that it already has a strike against it in the fact that the characters are Wax and Wayne. Just like
Lean into it. That's the type of humor you're gonna get. Just
But
lean
that's-
into it.
Am I allowed
oh,
to agree
oh,
that I think that is
The
annoying
humor's
as well?
worse than that because Wayne, all he talks about are his hats because he thinks it's hilarious. It's like the friend. This is how I explain Wayne. He's like the friend that tells a joke one time that gets you to laugh, and then he repeats it for like 35 years, and it's never funny again. And Wax is literally made of wax. He's the most boring protagonist ever.
Well, I'm
Wow.
excited to
There you go.
put that
There's my
out.
Strong
thoughts.
opinion.
A lot of strong feelings here.
I don't actually like. I think though the Mistborn era 2, I like it more than most people, but it's probably the only Sanderson's theories besides Skyward that I tend to give 4 stars to instead of 5. Granted, back when I read Sanderson before BookTube, I was like Alan. I just gave everything 5 stars if I liked it.
Yeah.
And if I liked it a little less, it got 4 stars. And I never had a 3-star. I didn't know what that was.
This is the way, though. This is the way.
You could be like the weirdos online that give everything like points, like 6.7 and like 8.95.
Yeah,
Like, how?
Why do you keep going after Jake Bishop, Alex?
Because he bothers me. That's why.
It's the second time you've dunked on him.
Because he's mean to me in my own Discord.
That's
Well, I mean, I almost feel like, just generally speaking, like if you get, and I mean, no shade to anyone that does this, but like if you get that hyper specific, if you get that hyper specific in like numbers and breaking down different categories and numerical ratings and then like averaging them out, it's like almost trying to like deny the fact that ultimately reading is an emotional experience that cannot be quantified. And I'm like, you're trying to quantify this and make it like a scientific rating. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but you cannot because it's an emotional experience reading.
It's vibes. Yep.
I agree with that.
I did try that. Not to, I mean, I didn't want to quantify it. I wanted to be more consistent. And then I just learned there was no such thing for me to be able to find that level. And so half stars helped me a lot.
Because even as much as you might try to like take into consideration when you rate something, the fact that you were having an off day when you read it, so you probably enjoyed it less than you would have, and you might acknowledge that in a review, but ultimately that did affect your reading experience, and maybe it didn't. Maybe actually on a good day you also would have felt the same way, but you won't know. You can never recreate that day. You can never recreate your first read. There's no way to like repeat the experiment. So like you might be able to say, I think maybe possibly, but you're never going to be objective. It depends on who you are that day, what happened to you, what other things you had read, and, you know, just your personal emotional reactions to books in general, regardless of your mood that day. So like to try to say that like you have a perfect numerical scale that works at all times across everything you've read, it's just like, nah, you don't.
You don't.
Yeah, that's true. People watching, does anybody have specific things you would like to hear us discuss with relation to TBRs and or mood reading?
And apparently rating books, because that's
or anything really, because we can probably talk about whatever.
I have no problems with half stars. Michael Nip comes at me for the half stars. I'm like, Michael, sit down.
Does he
really?
was
the reason why I originally tried to switch to whole stars, because that was back when I only used Goodreads and I really didn't know what to do with where to put my half stars.
Look,
and I hated the
inconsistency.
I round up because being a reviewer and I know how much Goodreads ratings matter to authors. I just round up.
Look, we may be the only 6 left
that do that
2-star reviews. Everyone else, every other day, I see a video saying why I'm abandoning this.
Oh my gosh!
Seriously.
I
only do it on Goodreads because it's there.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't mind when people just don't address it. They just don't say yes. Like, but when people make like, I don't know. I do get it's frustrating that when you put a number on something, people take it into their number scale instead of your number scale. And like, they'll just comment me in the comments being like, why'd you hate this? And I'm like, did you hear the words that I said? I gave you a number and I spoke for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like I tend to like in wrap-ups or reviews or wherever, like I might mention what I've given as a rating, but oftentimes I don't, just because I'm like, I'm telling you how I feel about it. That should give you an idea of how I feel about it. You don't need to know what number I put on that. So I might, I mention the number to like emphasize the point, and I'll be like, I hated this. I gave it 1 star. Like I'd be like to emphasize how much I hated it, or I'm like, oh man, I love this, 5 stars for sure. But I mean, if it's just like somewhere like, even if I did give it 5 stars, I might call that out, but I'm probably just going to talk about how much I liked it, what I liked about it, and what you might like about it.
Yeah.
Excuse me, Ellen?
I'm completely like that too, Leanna.
I assumed you were talking about The Blade itself or another Abercrombie book.
Or Guns of the Dawn or Blackwing or...
Yeah, I'm sure you talk about those all the time.
I mean, I do talk about Blackwing all the time.
He does, that's true.
I think sometimes also when I'm filming my wrap-ups, I don't know what star ratings everything's going to have yet, because sometimes you like linger on things and you're not like sure. But like I'll just talk about it and I just have the stars go up on the screen. I'm like, there'll be a picture over here. Because I once tried to take them away and then people asked for them back. And I'm like, I guess you guys never ask for anything.
You should have told them that this is not a democracy and they'll take what you give.
This was back when I had like 500 subscribers and one person missed and asked.
Okay, fair.
Easy. I never DNF, buddy read obligations ever, and that is why I'm
Really?
stuck for the last 6 months trying to get through all of them.
Oh,
I
really?
never.
I let anyone who
If
reads
I have
with me-
agreed, if I've agreed to read it with somebody, I'm gonna finish it, come hell or high water.
Oh, see, I have DNF'd buddy
Abandon
reads.
it.
I also
Yeah.
like I make it very
same.
clear to
I
people
DNF
that
buddy reads.
I buddy read with that, like, hey, if you're not enjoying this, just stop. I won't be
Yeah.
I just
offended.
don't
You
DNF
don't mean
books
it.
for the
You don't
most
mean
part,
it.
so it doesn't
It's
count.
about fun.
But I do.
I do. There's always more books. You can just
Yeah.
read
Alan, you abandoned us for a time of courage, so you should feel bad about yourself.
I do. Like I do. I wake
Oh my
up and I flagellate with my little leather thing every day because I didn't
Have
finish
you
it.
even
It's not my
finished it?
fault. It's not my. I didn't DNF it. I didn't have time to
Have you
read
read it
a
yet?
670-page book.
Have you read it yet?
No, I still don't have time.
He finally read Hero
know
of
how long
Ages.
ago that
He
live chat
said
was?
like in February he would have Hero of Ages done by May. Give it time.
Yeah,
So
I
what you
read
should
Well of
do-
Ascension in April.
There you go.
Go watch the first.
But honestly,
like,
Alan, as
10
someone
minutes
who
of that
plans
chat.
future buddy reads with
I
you,
don't
this
want
is
her
really
mean to me,
relaxing for me because I know one day we'll read Fall of Hyperion, but I don't have to worry about it sneaking up on me. Like
See,
I
look
have
at
some
that.
time.
Look at that.
There you go.
I want to read so much, and I'm too slow because I got a stupid job that makes me do stupid crap when I'm not at my
And just-
stupid
You
job.
should just start assigning those books as like class books. So now you have to read it as part of
Oh,
your
Nothing to do
curriculum.
with
outsource
Latin
it.
or
because students read what they're assigned in school. That happens
Even if
all the
they
time.
don't, you can now be doing like teacher
Leanna,
work when you're reading.
Leanna, I assign them 10 Latin sentences that have a subject, verb, object, and prepositional phrase in it to translate overnight. 3 of 27 children did it. 3.
I don't know what you don't understand about the fact that just because you assign the reading that you want to be doing doesn't mean they have to do it in order for you
I
to
am
also
a
read
Latin
it.
teacher, Leanna, not their literature teacher.
Well,
But
you
I
know
mean,
what?
there's like again, Red Rising has Latin in it.
Yeah.
Assign that.
No, it doesn't. It has references to classical figures. It doesn't have any. Oh, I'm
No,
sorry.
it does have Latin in it.
Maybe
Yes,
you could like
what,
get maybe you could find like Latin translations of some of these
They
books.
do
or
have 'em
make
for the
your
really
students
popular books.
Translate books into Latin.
That requires my students not being fools and knowing any Latin, but they don't. They don't know any Latin.
That's the problem.
Maybe
That is
my
probably why
third
they're in
years
your
know a
class
little
learning
bit.
Latin.
My third years might know a little bit, but the ones like, don't worry.
Yeah.
Just don't even worry about what a direct object is. You go ahead and you write whatever you want. Just write anything. You're probably right. Why not?
I will say, Alan, I always prefer when friends DNF books that they're reading because of my recommendation or an obligation to me if they're not liking it and I love it because I don't want to hear them hating it. Like, I just want them to stop. I just want it to be over.
I hear you.
Just make it stop.
The thing is, I don't hate a ton of books. I'm not like Leanna. So like most of the stuff I read, like I
Hey,
don't
the
not
one
enjoy
buddy
it.
read
Come
Leanna and
full
I did,
circle.
she didn't hate the book I liked. She didn't love it either, but it was pretty middling. It was great.
What was it? What book was it?
The Inheritance of Orchidia Divina.
Do you know what she give it? 3 stars?
Yeah.
You know what doesn't deserve 3 stars? Guards.
So, how do
So
you
that's the
handle
question.
mood reading when you have a lot of arcs to read during the month?
Oh, my
Sometimes I accept that I'm not paid to read arcs, and sometimes those arcs don't get read.
Yeah.
I've only
Yeah,
ever had
yeah.
a couple of
I
arcs.
don't get a lot of arcs,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's not a ton of stuff coming out that I like. Usually there's not a ton of stuff coming out that I'm super interested in. So I don't actually ask for arcs. And
Yeah.
so when I get
Yeah,
an arc, it's
same.
usually because it's one of the few things I'm interested in. And I also make sure I have time for it because I don't even ask for it. If I'm not gonna have time for it, I'm just like, I guess I'll read it when everybody else does, you know. But
Yeah.
most of the time, there's just not a bunch of stuff coming out that I care about.
Yeah, I try to only request
Yeah,
like 1 or
I
2
agree
a
with
month
that.
because that's like a 10th of my TBR
Yeah.
committed to a new release. But I also love reading new releases. So
There's
normally
some
for
of these-
me, it just becomes like an ebook version of a book I might already buy,
I think
so that I can have a
read way
physical
more-
ebook.
I think I read way more e-arcs or way more arcs in general than anybody else on this.
Yeah. There are some
Um,
people who
Yeah, you
like
definitely do.
every arc. They go on NetGalley and like, oh, I can get that.
Yeah, they
The
start.
issue is NetGalley was
They
like, yep,
request
here
so
you go.
I'm not interested
Yeah.
in that many books though. Like
Yeah.
some people do like every
Yeah,
book
no.
that I'm interested in coming out the next month. I'm like, I got 1 or 2 books I'm interested to come out in the next year, and you got 7 this month.
I'm the same way.
I would be that person. I've had to learn how to limit myself because I read in so many genres, and so there's way more because I read in so many genres. Like there's always way more books that I'm interested in than I have time for.
I just don't care that much about getting a book early.
Yeah. It's Pavlovian.
Right.
Yeah, every
Yeah,
time you said
I feel
genre,
like my
he makes a
backlist is
face.
like longer than the books I want to read, like that are coming out soon. So
Yeah.
I focus on that.
Yeah, and to answer this question, I basically try to have arcs in different genres, and I will. What?
I'm sorry. It's
Every time you say genre, he does his YouTube thing where he goes genre.
Alex Trebek says genre stupid. So every time you say genre,
Alex Trebek says anything French really exaggerated.
I know. So every time you do it, I'm just mouthing.
It's fine.
I can't help it.
But yeah, I try to have a mix, and then that way I can kind of mood read throughout the month. So yeah, that's how I handle it. And then if I really just don't feel like reading one, like Angela said, I'm not getting paid to do most of it. If I am getting paid, then I will read it.
Yeah,
that's the only stuff I don't DNF is like a Patreon pick because I'm being paid to read the thing.
Yep.
Unless it's like, okay, the exception would be I would ask them if I could DNF something if it was triggering me ridiculously. But I typically don't read hard-hitting stuff. So that normally doesn't happen to me.
Yeah.
I've only read 2 NetGalley arcs, and I DNF'd the first one because I was like, man, this book, like Andrei Sapkowski, you're killing me with these Hussites, man. Does nobody care? I gotta move on. I can't read this book anymore. I'm like, sorry. I read 33%. Can't do it.
My first arc I got was Shadow of the Gods, which I read. I liked a lot. So,
Tori, are you gonna get Leviathan Falls arc? Have you read The Expanse? You're sci-fi. I just assumed.
I'm on book 3. Yeah, I'm on book 3. So it's gonna be a while.
It's like, you're sci-fi. Surely you've read the whole Expanse. Sorry, I was trying to connect with another.
No.
I'm not good at it.
All he did was prove
it's
that
gonna
he's
be a
never
while.
seen a video.
I was going to read Expanse this year for that release, and then a bunch of my friends wanted to read Malazan, so I mood read it in. I put it in. It wasn't in my plans for 2021, but all my friends were like, we're going to read Gardens of the Moon in January.
So
and
the
we all
mood you
did.
read was peer pressure?
So I did it because of peer pressure. I liked it, and everyone else stopped reading it, and so that I've been by myself. It's just
hilarious. Why would you can, first of all, you can never agree to read the first book of a 10-book series with anybody. That must be something you decide on your own. You can never.
My friends all were doing it, Alan.
I literally started a read-along of a 10-book series on my channel. Never mind. I take everything back that I just said. Oh my gosh, what have I done?
Also, me and Leanna are about to announce something like that for next year. So
what? Let me guess. You're going to start reading the Abercrombie's collected works.
Oh, we are also doing that, but we already announced.
Alan, you can't call it a guess when I told you that.
Oh my goodness.
No, I mean we are reading all the First Law stuff for the podcast, but that's not that we've already announced.
Wait, Leanna's reading First Law?
Again.
Shocking, I know. No, but and we're doing episodes on them. No, but we're announcing a different read-along.
I think I know which one it is. Is the author's name start with a T?
Is it Outlander?
Okay, I know what it is.
Yeah.
It start with a T.
Yep.
Oh, you don't listen to their podcast. That's why you don't know.
It's Toe Abercrombie.
It is.
No, it's the one series that Leanna likes, even though she shouldn't by any measure.
What?
Alex, you were just mentioning this in my comments.
Everybody likes to hate it. We like it.
What is
That's
it?
fine. I'm not actually judging. It's kind of like
I
how
don't
I
pay
like
attention to the things I say.
It's fine.
Realm of the Elderlings. I wish they would announce that. That'd be great.
That's so many books.
Oh, that would
Yeah,
be fun.
I was thinking the other day, like, I'm so far in. I've read 2
I was
series.
gonna say, when
in
you
it.
said never buddy read long series, me and Mara have been chugging through the Realm of the Elderlings together, no problem.
You can read 500 books a month, Leanna.
Untrue.
You literally don't count for any of this.
Wait, I know what it is. Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, the only reason I've been
This
getting through
clicked.
Wheel of Time is because
Have
of my buddy
fun.
reading Stephanie.
We will. It's
Leanna can finally explain what makes that appealing at
Sir,
all.
I have an entire
was
video
about to say, did you
explaining
know?
this
We
already.
also
Am I
have a
supposed to
whole.
watch
We
all
also
your
have
videos,
a podcast
Leanna?
episode talking about it. So we have explained
Such
it.
good
Don't ask questions if you don't
How
want
many
the
books
answers.
is it? How many books is it?
8 or 10?
11.
He's really trying to figure it out.
I think 11.
Alan.
Wait, for what?
We're reading 11 books from it, right?
12.
Oh my
Is it
god.
12? Is it 12?
There are more than 12, so I
Ooh.
thought we would do at least 12.
Who
Oh.
writes that many books and has a freaking T name?
He wrote
Well,
that many books.
Well,
and
here's the thing. I could say the first name and it counts for 2 authors. Actually,
counts
he
for
3
3.
authors.
He wears sunglasses in
Oh.
his profile picture.
He's one
And
of the
has a
most
terrible
common names in
ponytail.
fantasy.
It's the name of your favorite
I'm drawing a
author,
blank.
Alan.
That's unlikely.
Black shirt, sunglasses.
It is the name of
really
your
bad
favorite author.
It is the
ponytail.
name of your favorite
It
author.
looks like his beard is sprayed on.
What?
Just think of the picture.
Alan
Come
is
on.
looking like he's never read
And
a
he's
book
like
in his
this
life
in the
now.
picture.
I have no
Alan-
idea what you're talking about.
Alan, what's your favorite book?
Is it Terry Goodkind?
He got
Oh.
there.
Gosh.
He got there.
Who wants to? I can't wait
You're
to
not
tune in on your
invited,
podcast
Alan.
on objectivism.
We're
we're
not
We're
invited.
not doing it for the podcast. We're doing a live show. But it's look.
They're in the
I will
mood for
tune
it.
in and explain
It's
on
a TBR.
why the elite are entitled to their product and the poor should not profit from it. And then you can all go down to the bottom of the ocean and start your own little utopia.
Wait, is this Ayn Rand? Like, what is
Yes.
this?
She
Right, what is
no,
going on?
he was a piece of work, but
video's a
his
mess.
books are actually really
What genre is that y'all are reading?
fantasy.
It's not
No, he
fantasy.
doesn't write
because
fantasy.
he transcended fantasy.
Okay, but it actually is fantasy.
He doesn't write. He writes stories about people.
I
There you
don't
go.
really care what he thinks he's doing.
I
We-
will say
I
if
mean,
it has
we-
dragons.
He's my roommate, and I've checked with him, and he's decided that he said some silly things that he regrets, and
You're a
that's
good
why he's
guy.
a ghost now. His unfinished
Very good
business
guy
is all
for
the
work.
BS that he said.
Why are you going to read Wizards? Leanna, how do you have any credibility when you write Terry Goodkind?
Have you ever read one of his books?
I've read Wizards First
Oh my
Rule
goodness.
back when
So
I was
much
in college.
fun. It's fun. It's fun.
We had
It's a
different
good end-
experiences.
And it's a good entry point. He has
To
great
what?
female characters, and it's a good entry point for fantasy for people who are intimidated by it. It's like
It's
It's
like
like
Marvel
marathon-
movies.
it is
It's
like Marvel
the
movies.
Alice
It's like
Agents.
Marvel movies
How is
for
that good for
fantasy.
people who are intimidated by fantasy?
It's
So long.
yeah, but it's like
Yeah.
fun. It's like marathoning a season of a TV show.
Also,
Mistborn-
because each
The Final Empire is fun.
Thank
Wizards
you,
First
Priscilla.
Rule is not
Thank
fun.
you. Yes.
of the books in that
Give
sort
it
of
a
truth
try.
series, they're episodic, so you don't have to
Yeah.
commit to a 14-book series to get some
Exactly.
resolution and
But you
payoff. You
have
get
to
resolution
read-
and payoff in each book.
But
Hey,
you
I
have to
finally,
read
after
them.
book 7, have some minor
fun.
resolution in Wheel of Time. I can see the light. It's fantastic. That's my
Eye of the
favorite book.
World's not
You
good
know
either.
what's going to happen in Wheel of Time
Oh, good. That's
before
awesome.
you get to book 14.
I know, but here's my Alex. I actually
my
really love
God.
Crown of Swords. It's my favorite. I
It's a
didn't.
good book.
It's so
It's your
good.
favorite? That's a little weird. But
I know it's weird, but that's because we can discuss it later. But I also don't like the books people like, so
then you might love the next 3. Have
I
fun
doubt
with
it. I really doubt it because he also did things I hated in Crown of Swords that I like legitimately was like unnecessary, sir.
I
Well,
like
if you
Eye of
like
the
the
World.
main cast of characters, just don't worry about it because they're barely in the next 3 books. So
Yeah, that sounds promising.
Okay, so we have a few other questions. How do you structure your TBR?
Oh yeah, what are we talking about again?
Yeah, I completely forgot.
this is the mood reading of videos.
And this is why I didn't plan anything because I knew it wouldn't.
Because
be
you
a
knew
problem.
we'd stay on task and we wouldn't need to be herded. Because
I'll answer the question. I always have 2 freaking buddy reads that I'm doing for a bloody live show. So I gotta include
Alan
that.
hates
And
his
then-
audience and hates doing anything with them.
I don't. I love it, but I don't have time to read everything.
Then
And I'm
don't.
already stressed out.
Hard, yeah.
So I always have 2, and I always have 2 things that I'm live showing with somebody. One of them's on my channel, and one of them someone else's channel. And then I desperately try to read the next book in a series. Any series that I've begun.
That's good.
The next book in any series. Though this month I discovered, we were talking about that serotonin hit, when like I discovered the novella this last month, and I have felt so good about myself finishing like 3 novellas in a month. I was like, yeah, one of them was a freaking Powder Mage one, which is the most okay thing I've ever read in my entire life. And it's just, but at least I got it done. I was like,
it's aggressively mediocre.
And it becomes the embodiment of mediocre. Like it is the
Oh my gosh.
It is the most
the pinnacle
mediocre.
of mediocrity.
It is if possible the god of mediocrity. And I'm just like
mediocrity incarnate.
There has never been a more
it's the
novella on the
face
of the planet. But I read novellas, which was nice. So I'm also trying to include like maybe a novella or some kind of short thing. If I'm out of novellas, I'll read an H.P. Lovecraft story or something. Sci-fi, like I don't have a bunch of short sci-fi except Angela's that is impossible to understand that I am going to read next year.
I literally told you to read a 300-page book that's in a series of 3 books where they're each 300 pages. I can't give you a shorter series.
No, that's awesome. But understand, that starts a new series. I need to finish series.
Have you
some like classic
Oh my god, I feel that.
Novellas.
But
we want to talk about mediocre.
There's also lots of short sci-fi. I'm going to give you a whole list of standalone short sci-fi just for you. I'm going to make a video on it. I'm actually putting that in my calendar right now, and you're being tagged.
Becky Chambers has a couple of good sci-fi novellas.
He doesn't like Becky Chambers. He DNF'd the first book.
Only because I ran out of. I don't like DNFing stuff, but I ran out of time because I had obligations, and this one was not really an obligation. And it's not that it was badly written; it's just nothing was happening, and I was like,
your Patreon buddy read or something.
Yikes. Call him out.
Right.
I like watch all of your shit. I watch all of it.
You know what? It was, but a bunch of my patrons had DNF'd it, so that gave me permission.
So it's fine.
That gave me permission. But I also try to put in like a Discworld novel because I'm trying to reread all the Discworld, so I'm trying to also plug one in there. But the problem is I really can only read 5 if they're short, like 4 books a month, because I just don't have time. I try to get 100 pages a day. I can't. I can most of the time get 50. And so that's how I kind of have to structure it, because I always have one going, like I've got one read along going on my channel. So I've got that. Yeah. And then I try to divide the other 3 with finishing series. Maybe I'll do a buddy read with somebody. I'm looking for the best of Flintlock Fantasy, so I'll throw something on there, et cetera, et cetera. And then, of course, another Powder Mage novella that will be fine.
Why do you keep reading that? So, like,
because I should like it. I'm determined to read all of them, so I can. It's not right. It's not right that I don't like it. It's not right. The setting is too
So
cool
I would just like to
mediocre.
say that you're choosing to read these books that you know you don't like instead of
like
perhaps chatting with me about the books that you made
Why
me
on
read.
earth would I want to talk to you about the books you didn't like that I like? Why would I want to do that?
So you can yell at me. I thought that was your favorite.
Yelling. I don't know why you think that this is something I enjoy. I don't like this.
It's because you love it.
Wait, so you yell at me the same way you read Powder Mage books because you feel an obligation to?
Yes.
So I think
you should enjoy it.
For your video, you need a third person to conduct the interview, and then we bring Alan in and out when we think it's too hard. We're like, okay, Alan, you need to mute. And then Leanna explains it. We summarize briefly for Alan. He does a brief response.
See, Klaus already volunteered to moderate.
The presidential debate.
I'll moderate and I'll just piss each other off. I'll just be like, so Alan, explain to her why it's actually a good book, and Leanna, explain to me why it's the worst thing ever written.
Explain to me why Guards is a perfectly mediocre foray.
I rated Guards the same that I rated the pinnacle of sci-fi.
Which is what?
Dune.
Oh, Dune is actually...
Which is not even sci-fi. It's sci-fantasy, but we'll move on.
Sci-fantasy.
Saying Guards and Dune are on equal footing in my book.
So...
But Ember in the Ashes.
Anyone else want to talk about...
I mean, I already briefly mentioned that I do...
my stuff around... Oh, no, go ahead, Angela.
No, go ahead.
No, go.
Sometimes I structure like what I want to read around videos that I want to film. So like if I'm going to do something like short sci-fi you should read, or short sci-fi worth your time, I'll like think about, well, what's short on my, that I haven't read yet, and I'll like kind of make my way through those and see if they're worth recommending. So I'll do it like that sometimes.
Yeah, I already said earlier, so 100 pages a day for me is like 2.5 hours of reading, including me checking my phone every 5 minutes because I have the attention span of a millennial. Like, I'm really bad at reading.
Same.
Like,
Same.
you know what I mean? You have to account for that, which I don't always have that time, but my commute is 45 minutes. So I can almost always guarantee like 40 pages a day on my commute and then like 20 pages at night before I sleep. So then I just have to find an hour somewhere to read. So that's how I do it for my TBR. And then there's always, I have a local book club I go to that has nothing to do with Booktube. And they always read like a literary fiction or historical fiction or something that I never touch. So I read something for them. And I read whatever my Patreons vote on. I read whatever the buddy reads I have. And then from there, I'm like you, Alan. I'm like, what series am I in the middle of? What haven't I touched in a while? And then I ask Stephanie, are we actually reading Wheel of Time this month? And she'll say yes or no. And I go find that audiobook. And yeah. Alan, I shouldn't judge you for what you do with the Powder Mage because I know I won't ever like Wheel of Time. And here I am.
I mean, you're 7 books in. That's... For not liking something, that's too much.
I don't hate it.
That's impressive.
You know how good it felt to be able to, on my spreadsheet, click completed to a series when I finished Hero of Ages? Like, that was better than...
It's a 3-book series. Calm down.
I know.
Hey, stop raining on his parade, Alex.
It's been sitting here at behind since last November. So...
Why didn't you? Okay. You don't have to put behind. You don't have to negatively make your spreadsheet. So...
You don't know myself.
It's like an accounting spreadsheet, and these are like the overdue invoices. This is his reading aging spreadsheet.
But yeah, and I mean, I think someone had a question about like TBRs being like quarterly or monthly, and like I do quarterly for my series where I like check in, like, have I touched this series in 3 months? If so, am I DNFing the series, or should I pick it up again? Because if I go 3 months before picking up a series again, I need to start prioritizing it or start planning a reread. Like those are the things.
I do not track my series because that sounds stressful.
It actually brings me joy. So for me, I enjoy it.
I am so bad at finishing series. I have so many open series right now. I cannot get through. So
that's how it was last
year. Doing that quarterly helps me be accountable with myself.
I do also like having like some lists of yearly books that I'm trying to read, and I don't feel like I have to hit all of them. But like this year I had some classics I wanted to read and like some different like SFF stuff. And I kind of like having that and checking those off through the year.
Yeah.
But during a typical month though, it's kind of slotting in, you know, what am I reading with my patrons? What buddy reads or read-alongs am I doing? What things do I have for review? And then like what video idea do I have and what do I read for that? And then maybe what do I feel like reading if I have time?
Do you guys also make those like X books you want to read in a year and ever refer back to those TBRs? Because I do that too. Is I made like the beginning yearly TBR and like I don't ever expect to finish it, but like I do sometimes go to it for inspiration and see if I'm still interested. Like just remind myself of books I thought about 6 months ago.
Yeah. I found it stressful if I make it too broad. So I like having like a limited, like a number that I could potentially actually finish.
I do the same because starting this year, I was going to attempt to do Malazan and finish Wheel of Time. And I put Malazan down after Gardens of the Moon because I was like, I don't want to do, it's like 2,000 plus pages a month just to get both of those series done. And I was like, that's too much. So I put Malazan down for now. And then my goal was to finish Dresden and Wheel of Time this year. So those were always on my TBR every month until I got through both of them. But in general, for me, it's just like, if I'm doing a buddy read, that'll be on there. So like right now, A Song of Ice and Fire, like that's going to be a monthly thing, whatever Patreon pick it is. And then just a fantasy book and a sci-fi book that I pick. So it's, I almost felt like relieved when I finished Dresden and Wheel of Time because I was like, well, they're not there anymore. So now I'm like, what do I read?
All the options. That's my favorite thing about finishing series is starting a new one right away. I'm like, oh.
Because I mean, last year
must be nice, Angela.
Yeah, I know, right?
When I came back, I was just trying to start everything to see what I like. So I had a million things going. And then this year I was like, all right, that's too much. Like I'm going to finish series. And so it was kind of like my 4 to 5 books were just ongoing things. And I was reading a lot of shorter fantasy series. So like John Gwynne is like 3 or 4 books. And then like Dresden and Wheel of Time were my really long ones, but everything else was 3 or 4 books. But then of course I started The Expanse. I'm like, well, that's 9 books. It's like, eventually I need to get through that. And I just finished book 3. So that'll probably end up being a mainstay until I'm done. But I'll try to read shorter ones.
I'm about to pick up a really long sci-fi series, and I don't have regrets, and I'm excited. But it's Foreigner, which I think has like 20 some books in it right now. I'm just like, but I really want to check it out. Well, it's like Realm of the Elderlings, where it's split into trilogies and quartets.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think it started to be published in the 90s and is still being published actively today.
It's like Shannara.
Oh wow, my God. I had such big goals for my series this year. I was like, I'm going to read The Expanse. I'm going to finish Red Rising and Planetfall. And here we are. Yeah. Nothing has been accomplished. So.
Yeah. Here, Tori.
Going well.
Okay, this is kind of interesting. How much does an average negative rating on Goodreads and negative reviews of a book stop you from picking up a book? Is it an issue because you may like the book even though many people didn't?
Yeah.
Mine
most
it doesn't.
It depends on who it's coming from.
Yes.
Like you can't just look at
average rating.
Yeah, if you just look at Goodreads average,
I don't care about
crap. So it doesn't really tell you
anything.
anything.
I don't care about that either.
But if you have like people that you know, like whose opinion you trust, or like that kind of meet yours, and you're like, oh, they really hated this, then maybe.
For me, anyway, like the average, it's not going to be the deciding factor. But if I'm already on the fence, then I'll check the average. And I'm like, oh, the average is low too. I'm like, okay, I don't know.
It also depends on the number of ratings. Like I read a lot of things that only get like 1,000 ratings.
Yeah.
And a lot
out
of
of 1,000, a lot of them
are like
low.
3 star averages. Yeah. So I just am like, nah.
I care more about the content of the reviews. So like part of it might be people I trust. So like I'll read that first, but then I'll like pick a few positive and negative reviews and see like what things they're saying, because it might be that people like a book, but then the reviews are saying it has stuff that I find irritating. So I'm not going to pick it up.
Yeah.
So
I think for the most part, I try to not look them up just because there's so much that I haven't read that like if I feel like it's going to be interesting, I'd rather just try it. But then sometimes I'm like, I also don't want to waste my money on something that it seems like I'm going to hate. So
I look up most things now.
Yeah.
I've been
burned. I mean, I just started a book that Bethany sent me because she didn't like it and was like, here, you can have it. And it doesn't have a very high rating.
Because I thought you would like it.
Yeah. And I mean, I am liking it.
If the book sounds interesting, I'm going to read it, whether the reviews, what the average rating is or not, because I like a bunch of crap that the general populace doesn't like.
Same.
And a bunch of my favorite books that I've read this past year have, a quote unquote low Goodreads rating. And
I feel like I came off very Alan the other day when I was talking to somebody and really hyping this book/series. And I was like, it's the best. I have like this kind of thing you can ever read. And he was like, I'd seen that around, but like the slightly lower rating on Goodreads had put me off. And he was like, why is it like the best, or why do you think people don't like it? And I was like, oh, well, plebes probably find it boring because like they think The Tudors is good historical fiction.
It is boring. It is boring.
No, I'm not talking about that.
What book are you talking about?
I'm talking about The Half-Drowned King and the Golden Wolf Saga by Linnea Hartseeker.
I don't know what that is.
It's like proper like retelling of Norse sagas. And like if you think The Tudors and Reign is like good historical fiction, then you will not like The Golden Wolf Saga by Linnea Hartseeker, which is just like very in-depth like Norse people and like their economy and like how they live and how they Viking as well. There's lots of raiding and violence, but like it's not like a juicy drama of people, like, you know what I mean? Like it's not that. And so if that's what you want, you're gonna be like, well, that was boring. I mean, it's not boring at all, but
did not watch The Tudors for historical fiction. No,
it's
not why I
not at all. Not at all.
There were specific reasons I watched it. Very, very
lots
specific.
and lots and lots of sex.
Oh, tell us those reasons, Angela.
My wife watched the Tudors.
I want to keep things PG-13 for this live.
All right.
But on the flip side, for ratings on Goodreads, sometimes, like someone was mentioning, like I don't always trust the high rating ones either. Like, especially because they don't normally, like, people are more patient, I think, than content creators for books. So, like, based off Booktube, the ratings for the third Jennifer Almentrout book should be horrible, based off everything I've heard. I think it has the same, if not a higher rating for the second book in that series.
Really?
Yeah. Like it's not, maybe it's a little lower, but like, so the fans still love it. Because I think when fans like a book, they don't care how long or bloated it is if they like the
author. I was going to say also, it's like if you look at like the average ratings on series, they almost without like exception go up because the people who are still reading people that liked it to begin with. So like you're weeding out the people that disliked it. So by the time you get to the end, like it's only people loving this
that's true.
reading it.
That's a good point.
I mean, I will say that like 3.5 to 4-star ratings for very popular things are a useful metric of, oh, this is a polarizing read.
Right.
It doesn't tell me if it's good or bad. It just tells me people have largely mixed opinions.
I do think it's interesting because sometimes it's less like the average, but I like to look at the little graph of the skew of what the ratings are. Because especially if you see like an inverse curve, then it's like, oh, this is a very polarizing.
No, yeah, I really I think that graph's useful because it also gives you a sense of for how many people was this just like a great book versus amazing versus, like you can.
Right. Versus the books who have mediocre ratings and like everyone gave it 3 stars. Then like, I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, that's more telling.
Yeah.
But also a lot of my favorite books only have 3 stars.
I think this is a really interesting question.
I don't mood read. I actually purposely make sure my TBR is very diverse. That's another reason why I did TBRs.
Yeah.
Diverse in what way? Just like genre? Or
authors.
Yeah, I actively diversify the authors I'm reading from in terms of like ethnicity and race and
I think I pay
sexual orientation and stuff.
Zero attention. I'm just
not
like,
just the authors, though. I mean,
that.
the content of the books as well.
That too. Yeah.
No, I think so. When I was in like first reading adult fantasy, I didn't care at all. And then once I caught up on all the popular stuff like 5 years ago, I was like, oh, I should try and like read something else. And then it was really hard to find things. And then when I actually finally did the stats, I was really pissed at myself. So then I just actively made sure that I fixed it.
I mean, I think if you're a mood reader and this is something that you do care about, the way you do this is you find authors in all the different genres you read who are diverse. And then you have options. So like if I'm in the mood for a romance, I can read a diverse romance. If I'm in the mood for fantasy, like I have all of those things on my radar and on my bookshelf. So if that's a thing you care about, like you can be a mood reader and still diversify your reading.
Yep. It's also just like publishers are realizing it's okay. And like for all the faults of the Goodreads Choice Awards, they obviously did, at least for the fantasy section, weight things in a way where it was 17 out of 20 people for that was women or non-binary. Actually, 3 of them were non-binary, which I was like,
by far the fantasy section was the best section of Goodreads.
In terms of like diversity. Like I mean, I know we can all hem and haw about how they pick things.
There was one book I'd read on that list.
Wisdom of Crowds wasn't on there. Therefore, it is invalid.
My favorite book wasn't on there either, but I didn't think it would make it. So.
I think I'd read like 13 of the books on the fantasy list. I read a lot of them.
I read a lot of them.
Oh my God, Bethany.
Bethany, how long have you been running the Goodreads Choice Awards?
Yeah. By what criteria were they judging those are the best fantasy books released this year? Like,
well, I mean, the definition of best...
I don't think it's best. I think it's just how many people added it to their shelves with maybe some other algorithm.
Instead of Wisdom of Crowds?
Well, Wisdom of Crowds actually was on the border. I think, like I said, they weighted things.
I'm on Leanna's side for this one issue. I promise you a bunch of people added Wisdom of Crowds to their list.
Goodreads take notice. Leanna and Alan agreed on this. That means you messed up.
No, I think, Alan, my theory is that they did weight things because what happens if you go just by the popularity contest matrix, then it becomes like the Oscars so white. And that's what happens naturally. So I think to counteract that, there were books that might not have made it numerically on that value that made it in. Because there were some that were on the line, like the line. I mean, stuff happening with a certain author showed some numerical things between 2 books on.
But
I read Shadow of the Gods, and that was
a really popular book off the list. Like to do that, like that's it's just weird to me. Like
I don't know. I mean, what I think that list does is show what marketing teams did the best that year.
Wisdom of Crowds.
Well, the Wisdom of Crowds is what the 10th book in a series.
Like it was one of the biggest releases this year. Like
that's what I'm saying.
Well, how many people had ratings for it? Is it like 1,200?
I mean, there's also like so many book of the month books on all the genres like that. It's because they get books into the hands of so many people.
Yeah, no, with like a lot of them were book of the month books.
Yeah, a lot of them were.
Wisdom of Crowds only has 7,000 ratings. Like I know there are books that have less than 7,000 ratings on the Goodreads thing, but that's not like actually a lot of ratings for that author.
Yeah,
but for some reason, it's been out since September. It hadn't been out 2 months.
Well, that's why these awards suck. They should suck. That's why these awards are just about marketing and just to market
Shadow of the
Christmas.
Gods only has 5,000.
Which one only does?
Shadow of the
Gods.
That's
Shadow of
the
the
first
Gods.
book in a series.
And it came out in freaking February or whatever, March. This summer. Wait, May?
No, yeah, these are very
May.
skewed
Came out
for
May.
if you are. It's like the Oscars. If you release your
Yeah, they
movie
are.
too early or too late, you don't get nominated. And it's the same for these stupid things. And it's
Are
just
you
to sell
kidding?
books.
Rhythm of War was nominated and it hadn't come out yet.
They changed it this year. There's no Sanderson on it because otherwise Titanic would be in the young adult section. But that's not there.
Okay, why were there young adult fantasy novels in the fantasy section and in the YA?
There was no young adult. There was no young adult.
There was no way.
There was none. There's some that people would think because of the covers and because a female author wrote it, but they were not young adult.
So why would people think if the girl wrote it, it would be YA?
That happens to me all the time. I literally spent 12 minutes talking about the Jasmine Throne in a video, and someone's like, I didn't pick it up because I thought it was young adult.
Why?
And like, is it? They asked me in my comments, is it young adult? And I'm like, I just spent this whole video talking about how it's an epic fantasy, and it's world building and slow burn.
While we're on the topic of YA, though, A Court of Silver Flames has almost 200,000 ratings on Goodreads.
Oh yeah,
that one's winning.
Oh, yeah, it's gonna win.
That one's winning.
It's unfortunate. Court of Silver Flames is totally gonna win, but the problem is it's a romance.
J Maas.
It should have been in the romance category. I mean, I liked it, but like,
good lord.
I'm pro make a paranormal fantasy romance category. It sells enough books.
Yes, they totally.
Why not?
I don't understand why.
I would love that actually.
Right, it would be good for me to find books I want to read.
I know.
I think
I would love that.
It would be great.
I don't understand why just because it's written by a woman, it means it's YA. YA
That's just what people do.
It's just what dumb people say.
YA has younger characters and things that happen that I don't care about because it's teenagers.
But Alan, that would make sense and not be misogynistic.
It's what dumb people do.
In fairness, though, I mean, there are also like male authors whose.
Do you know what's YA? Jane from Well of Ascension. Why is Well of Ascension?
They do actually now publish Mistborn in young adult and adult.
But I mean, like, I had someone in the comments of one of my videos tell me that like they don't like YA, except they did like Red Rising, so I guess that one. And I'm like, that's not YA.
I had heard that too, but it is not YA. It just has freaking murder.
So like teenagers. I mean, in general, I think like obviously the misogyny and sexism is like a big part of like that part of it, but just in general, YA is this nebulous like marketing category that is just like constantly causing problems where like people are trying to figure out how they can tell a book is YA. And like they're like, is it the cover design? Is it like there's no clear labeling? There's no clear like.
Just look at the freaking publisher.
Well, it gets complicated internationally though, because for some reason Skyward is obviously a young adult book. Sanderson has said on blogs he wrote it to be young adult. It's published in young adult, but it was picked up by a non-young adult publisher in the UK, so it's published as adult there.
That's true. It is different. Well, there's a lot of differences. Like there are other books too that are published as adult in the UK or published as YA in the UK. So like for instance, Spellslinger by Sebastian de Castell is published as YA in the UK and adult in the US.
I thought it was YA.
I think it's YA in the US. At least it's always shelved at YA for me.
Yeah, no, it's published by Orbit, and they're very like, we only publish adult titles.
Really?
I've always been told it was like a YA version of.
It is a young adult series. It's very YA, but it was picked up in the US by an adult publisher. So technically.
So I mean, all of that to say, while like there is a lot of isms and like a lot of bad reasons why people make bad faith judgments about what is and isn't YA, there is genuinely a lot of confusion about what is and isn't YA.
Yeah. This is true, and they have now corrected that. She actually wanted it published as adult when it first came out, but they told her no because they were worried her fan base wouldn't find it and buy it.
She should write better books.
She's doing just
her
fine,
fan
Alan.
base will find whatever she wants.
Exactly. You buy a third beach house. Can you buy a third beach house?
I don't care. I don't care what her fans do. I have a whole 2 videos talking about how much I hate that book.
No, I mean, I'm surprised they didn't switch it to adults sooner, since adult books can be charged more. Like they're more expensive to buy now.
Let me pitch this real quick. Sarah J Maas is trying to tell me that the Queen of the Fae, who's lived for thousands of years, cannot solve the easiest freaking riddle that has ever been written. Like, and she's just like, oh my gosh, you solved it. How? because it's stupid easy, Amarantha, because she's not like 3. You're
spoilers for
you don't
ACOTAR.
know any riddles.
Right, yeah, seriously, right?
Doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make sense. Not even within the world.
Look, Alan, nobody reads that series for plot.
I legitimately hate her fantasy world building and plotting. I legitimately don't like it.
What do they read it for?
You read it for the romance. Like,
what
you read
romance?
it for the romance.
What
like,
romance?
The first book's not the best romance of
the first one is not. It's true. But it's like,
all they do is eat dinner.
It's fun. I don't know. It's like very soapy and
all they do is eat dinner, and she complains how she doesn't have any paint.
I don't know. I mean, clearly, I'm not alone in finding.
I was about to say, I don't think we need to defend ourselves. I feel like the internet agrees with us.
I mean, I also don't think anyone is surprised by Alan's reaction to.
It's funny.
It probably wasn't written for me. Like,
that's obvious.
It wasn't. But also, your vlog was hilarious.
I really do want to. I mean, can someone just make him a truncated version of Akamath? Like, we can make a shorter version for him to read.
Someone bought me Akamath.
Really? That's great.
Oh my god.
Who's the audio narrator? Yeah. Maybe we can get him to do it on audio.
You would be able to hear my disgust if I was. Oh, I thought you were talking about me narrating it. I'd be like, oh. And then Sarah.
Yeah,
and then we sat down and ate dinner.
I would buy that audio.
Alan, what is that tier ranking on your Patreon? Where do we pay for that? What is that level?
Started like a Kickstarter GoFundMe thing to make an Akamath audiobook.
Every POV he hates, he's just like, oh, this one again. Okay.
You do give him fun voices, though.
Thank you. Oh, yeah, I know.
So shocking. Alan, maybe you should just record your own bootleg version of stuff.
Just go to like Indiegogo, start a thing.
I just think of all the times when he goes off script and goes, "Oh my gosh!" And now they're.
Oh my god, that's how you should vlog it. You should read the book to us and just interrupt with your thoughts. It'll be more seamless.
I mean, if they don't want to pay you adequately for teaching Latin, maybe you can get paid for reading.
There you go.
Reading Sarah J Maas books terribly.
Those videos, if you posted those videos and didn't get them like copywritten or anything like that, they probably get like 50 to 100,000 views.
I think Alan just went to go record it.
I'm walking.
He just went to go record it.
I'm just saying, have you seen how many clicks Sydney's like Court of Silver Flames videos have gotten? And they're so long and a lot.
Which one is that?
Oh my god.
That's the second one.
Are you reading it?
I vomited into the toilet, hugging the cool side, trying to contain the sounds of my retching. Why? Are you sick of reading about painting? Like, what's the matter? Did you eat too much dinner?
She has PTSD, Alan.
For what? For solving an easy riddle? For solving an easy riddle? Anyway, Moonlight
just do like a regular
massive marble bathing room, providing the only illumination as I was quietly, thoroughly sick. I thought you were retching. You're not quiet. Retching is not quiet. Tamlin hadn't stirred as I jolted awake. And when I hadn't been able to tell the darkness of my chamber from the endless night of Amarantha's dungeons, when the cold sweat coating me felt like the blood of those fairies, I'd hurtled for the bathing room. Who calls it the bathing room? You mean the bathroom?
Honestly, the part about that always annoyed me the most is like the idea of flushing toilets in this like old timey fantasy world. They have flushing toilets that she can retch into.
Amarantha's 1,000 years old and can't solve a riddle written by a 4-year-old.
Well, no, she made up the riddle. She knew the answer.
She made up the. Oh my god!
Yeah,
you suck, Amarantha.
She's bad at making up riddles. Like that's really.
My god!
You solved that. It took me years to put together such a brilliant riddle.
Say you don't love him. Say you don't love him. Shut up, Amarantha.
Alan, you should do live reading. You totally should, though. You could do like story time with Alan, and that could be content.
You could just do it once a week.
Just have it be a live show where
seriously, just have
it read a chapter a week.
Yeah, do like a chapter a week.
Well, how many chapters are in it? Maybe you should split it into like 20 pages.
You're gonna explode and become the new big booktuber,
Won't they hit me with like a copyright thing and be like,
You're not
I
going to
was
read it
just
close
about
enough
to
to the
say-
audiobook for them to tell.
No, if you intersperse it, if you do what you're doing now and intersperse it with your own,
You will be
commentary,
interrupting yourself with
There's
your own
literally
reading.
no way you would just read it
that's
and not
fair
talk
use.
about it.
That it would be under.
yeah,
fair
but
use,
if I
yeah.
call it Alan reads A Court of Mist and Fury, like they won't find me and be like, stop
Well,
reading.
maybe
my
be
No.
more creative with the title.
No.
Yeah.
Alan hate read.
Yeah, right.
Alan's
Court
weekly
of Mist.
descent into madness.
You can
Yeah.
also just say,
No,
like,
the-
Akamath reaction read along, like something. I don't know.
My cheeks hurt.
Oh my
But
God.
there's
No,
definitely an
no, the-
audience for this, Alan. So you should
Like
figure
8
it
There
out.
would
pages.
definitely would be
It's like
so many
8
people would
pages
watch
per
this.
chapter. 68 chapters. Why? What does she have to say that's going to take her 600 pages to say about this?
Well, read aloud and find out.
Yeah, for real. No, the next update from Alan will be like, so
You should
Bloomsbury's suing me.
You should totally do, but they wouldn't. It's considered fair use as long as you're providing a lot of commentary with it, so it'd be fine.
Which
I'm
I
sure
think
he
Alan
won't
is
lack
good for the
commentary.
commentary.
Yeah, it's
A
fair.
female? The surprise must have been written.
Oh, and
on
what
my
you can
face.
do is you can
Because
have guests
Reese
who keep
said-
track
Oh
of
my
words you
God.
care about.
Because Reese said, go on.
I
Yes,
forgot this is the Reese space.
and
Oh
more.
my God.
Only a fool would think my Illyrian warriors are raping Oh wait, that's the starting voice. I ended up with. Oh wait, no, that is the right one. Sorry.
Put that hair back.
I can like change
Oh
costumes.
my God.
This is true. The Akatar fan base is pretty ruthless, but I don't. Do you?
They
Yeah,
always
turn
so
your
mean.
comments off.
But yeah, I don't.
There's no dislike button. It doesn't care. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, the dislike
Yeah,
button's
they
on
got
there.
rid of the.
Just like
Only
my
Alan
God.
can see
Still engagement.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
That's terrible.
Now you're gonna have even more comments because they can't see their thumb down.
No, I say if you do it live, you're not
There
going to
you
get
go.
too many of them, at least for the first couple readings, unless someone shares them online. And then you could have your friends become like moderators and help fix it because we're all going to be there anyways.
I like
Yeah.
how we've just completely derailed this live to game plan how Alan can do a weekly reading of
Yeah,
the Court of
I know.
Thorns and Roses.
Alan,
We're
it's just money.
creating
It's
his
just
TBR
free
on the
money.
I mean, really.
Sorry. Anyway.
For these lives, you need to learn how to put in the super thing, the super money, make sure people can pay you.
Yeah.
We've gone from Fresh Prince of
can
Bel
tip
Air
you.
and Family Matters to scheduling Alan's reading for the next year and a half.
Yep.
It'll read
kinda
relatively fast.
You will get demonetized for a certain chapter.
Spicy.
Good point.
Or just you will interpret it your own way or skip it. I'm curious how you'll react.
That would be. Yep. I think everybody in this
Everyone's
live show is
here
now
for it.
waiting for it. Everyone's like, "Are we?"
Why
are
would
we
they
getting
accuse me of
this
hating women? It's a bad book. I don't hate Sarah J Maas. I hate
I
what she
mean,
writes.
It's probably true, but I feel like, I don't know. I feel like Alan, you can get away with it because there are people who do it and do stuff like this in a way that does feel like they're just.
I'm
being jerks.
autistic. I get away with
Yeah.
it.
Start every video prefacing it that way.
You're like, look, I have Asperger's. I apologize if this upsets you.
You could put that in the title of the videos, man with Asperger's.
You could
hate
also
Read
just blame
Akatar.
it on your friends who actually like. So Bethany and I legitimately like this series.
We
and we
do.
love this
Yeah,
experience.
and we still get a kick because, well, I think because we can see the flaws in it. Like we enjoy it, but like we know it has problems.
Maybe I'll start this series in the new year then. Call it Story Time with Alan.
I love it.
I love it so much. It'll
Yeah,
help you.
I'll
You
be
should
there.
also maybe do it for other reads that you have struggles to get through. Like, I mean, I don't know if you should do it for Six of Crows. I don't know what type of book that is really. I know it's a heist.
I have to read that stupid book soon.
It's not stupid, Alan.
Is there a Grisha in it? Can I at least be a Grisha?
Yes.
Okay,
Also,
good.
Alan,
And a Kaz Brecker is in it.
the
That's good.
most common, if you like this, you'll like that for adult to YA comparison is Mistborn to Six of Crow. It is the most frequent. I haven't read it, but that is the most frequent.
Is Kelsier in Six of Crows?
Yeah, his name's Kaz. No, I don't know.
No.
I do think, isn't Kaz the leader of that crew?
What?
Which was
No, I cannot.
Zach, no, I
Yes, Zach,
can't.
we can, and we need to pay extra for it. Put it on Patreon. Do chapter 55. Vish said it on Patreon.
I mean, yeah, it's like if you
I was about to say,
just, like,
Alex, how do you know what
like put up a
because Vish said it
paywall
in
on
chat.
that
I don't
content.
read this book.
Not reading it.
Vish did say chapter 50.
Or you could
It's
have
true.
a
You
guest
could put a
do it.
pay-
There
have
is
Alex
literally,
paywall on
there
it.
is
55.
literally merch you can buy that just says Chapter 55 on it.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
This is a grassroots campaign to get you to do this.
It's terrible.
You
Alan's
can turn the lights
OnlyFans
down,
videos.
have the mood lighting.
Terrible.
Oh my god.
We should
Alan
tell-
needs to borrow that chair, Alex, and we need to like
Oh,
turn
yeah.
down the
You
lights.
can come over. You can sit in that chair and just like turn the lamp on.
It's going to
have
be in
some
his
whiskey and a
garage, but
cigar.
Yeah, it'll be in my garage.
Different vibe, more serial killer vibe, honestly.
That's what I'm going for.
Just have some cans of paint on hand, and you'll.
My wife is
you'll have to
emphatically saying no to this thing.
I'm vetoing.
Christina, he needs to do it.
the
Oh,
whole
that's so
thing or
funny.
just
You're
that
so mean.
chapter.
I think it's just that chapter
Okay,
that she is
fair.
vetoing.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
We voted, we'll allow it. You don't have to read that chapter.
It will be a 2-second video of me opening the book, looking down, and going, and then moving on.
Yeah, you
And
can
then
just
being like-
you can legitimately skip it and be like,
Yeah,
you can infer what's happening.
yeah.
They had dinner and painted.
They do have dinner actually.
Alan's read-along series is just going to fade to black for a bit.
Exactly.
And then come
Close the
back.
shades and then open back up to the next chapter.
Yeah.
Alan, if you
Hey,
don't do
Jack
this, you've
version.
messed up because none of us could pull this off.
I
Only
got
you.
it.
Not at
all.
I'll start it in January.
Please
I'll
do. Oh,
start it in
I love
January.
it. I'm here for
Please
it.
do.
That'd be
Thank
great.
you.
I'll make sure I schedule the live so everyone knows when it is. So you can come
Okay.
and listen to it.
In the winters when I need these things because I don't go
Yeah.
out in the winter.
They'll be short because only like chapters are short.
So
Are
when
you going to
fade
actually do
that
only a chapter? You should probably do like 2 or 3 so you can finish it.
Wait, no.
Yeah.
You know he's gonna go off book immediately.
No,
and one
no.
chapter
What if
will
it's
be a
chapter?
3-hour
One
live
chapter.
when he keeps interspersing it with his
Exactly.
rage,
Exactly.
with his ad-libbing.
It's gonna if he only does 1 chapter a week, 68 weeks, Alan.
No, I'll fix it. I'll fix it.
Oh.
I'll make it shorter.
He's skipping chapter 55, so 67 weeks.
Anyway. Oh, I'm sad. I'm sad I was here for this.
Fade to black, spicy music comes on, crackling fire.
We need to have a saxophone.
Exactly. You need to play the saxophone.
But here's
Do
the
your
thing, it won't take
interpretive
away from your
musical
reading time.
rendition. Do your musical rendition inspired by.
That's not
chapter
gonna
55.
happen.
Yeah, this is definitely
Yeah.
not going to happen. That would be a very big plot twist.
It is so not going to happen.
Oh my god.
It's terrible. Absolutely
man.
terrible.
Oh my gosh.
Just think about how much of that hair thing you're going to get to see
I don't
throughout
want to do that.
Akamath.
I hate that.
You know what book's worse than A Court of Mist and Fury, though? It's A Court of Wings and Ruin. That one's worse. I don't like that one because that one's not pretending to be. That one's trying to be a
That
fantasy
one's
book.
trying to be a fantasy. It doesn't
I don't
know what
like
it is. No.
No.
Yeah, it's true.
Well, because I don't like this.
You've got someone to play sax for you. We can make this happen.
Whoa.
There you go.
Oh
Look,
my god.
Alan, you have somebody to accompany you. On
I have
that.
accompaniment right here. Hold on.
See, that might
Okay,
be
but
copyright.
stop because that's going to get a
Yeah.
copyright
Oh, sorry,
takedown
sorry,
on my video.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Go back to doing it yourself. There you
go.
I only use that little tiny clip on mine, and I don't ever get dinged. It's only like 5
It's
seconds.
fine, it's fine.
It barely picked it up. It would have to be very like on its game.
Disney
I know.
hasn't
Sometimes it does
demonetized
though,
you
and
yet,
then it
so-
wants me to like clip out the section. I've had that happen before.
I hate that.
All right.
Anyway, TBRs.
TBR.
Well, we've added a book to your TBR.
Oh my gosh.
TBR.
Alan's adding chapters now to his TBRs instead of whole books.
Yeah.
For that serotonin rush.
Oh my god. That
I
would be
do
a plot
that some
twist, though,
weeks.
if we
Some
all
weeks
wake
I'll be
up
like, I want to
and you
read this
rated it
many
5
pages.
stars.
Yeah. Not rating. I'm not rating any chapter of Akamath 5 stars. 1 star. 1 star. 1 star.
Do it 68 times on Goodreads.
What were the words you tracked last book? Because you should keep that list going.
Oh, I'm gonna.
Jen.
Oh, don't worry. I've got my notebook with it written
I
down.
think it was what
still.
gemstone colors of
Gemstones,
Yep.
mention of freaking
Oh my
Tamlin's
God.
green eyes, mention of the word baldric, mention of what's his name's russet colored eyes, mention of any type of flower, and mention of Tamlin's abs or any kind of rippling muscle.
You're gonna
There'll
have
be
to
lots
reinsert a
more
different
other
person.
abs in ACMAF for you.
Yeah. And also purring. People purring.
There will be some purring.
Yeah, there will. That's true.
I hate it.
Oh my goodness.
I'm so
well,
happy.
I know, me too. I'm really
Right.
looking forward to these weekly readings.
Like, I'm so excited. We got roaring.
All right. Create a new section for Wingspan. Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because don't forget, the tears of someone can change your DNA. It can fundamentally alter your genetic structure. The tears of a fairy.
Don't get me started on some of the weird biological fantasy she plays with, okay? It's just weird.
It is. It is. It's true. But
There's no consistency. There's none.
That's true. There's not. Don't go there for the plot.
I go there for the dinner scenes.
Exactly. You're getting it.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Oh
there
yeah,
are
I mean, chapter 55 has soup.
it does.
I don't
Good
know what
soup.
that means, and I don't want to.
There are actually 2 dinner scenes I really like in that book that aren't the soup scene. The fact that there are multiple dinner scenes.
Why are you guys being weird?
Oh, Cass.
Anyway,
oh, man.
just got derailed. I apologize.
Oh, Leanna, did you ever talk about how you structure your TBR?
Oh, yeah. How do you
It's a bunch
structure
of
your
books to
We
TBR?
lost that 45 minutes ago.
I do my obligations, and then I make a list of books that I know that it will upset Alan for me to read.
Yep.
And then,
Good. Yep.
and then after that, I read 450 others to make that 500 that I strive for to hit every month.
Don't forget Abercrombie.
And then
my monthly
playing of Abercrombie. Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved as the year progressed. You're like, if you didn't know, I'm reading an Abercrombie book.
I also just got like faster at saying my little spiel about like why I'm reading these books. Got to the point where I didn't even like feel my mouth move anymore.
I can't feel my mouth anymore. I've been laughing too much. It's like the
I
pain.
know.
I know. Like I'm getting a headache now.
My cheeks are like
my head hurts.
sore. I think this is too much. I feel
That's
like
Oh
too
my
much.
God,
This is at
that's-
least
yeah,
like
that's too much.
that would be too much. No. Sarah J Maas is like the right amount.
So J Maas is the wrong amount of everything.
Is she gonna? Oh, that would be okay.
no, I don't think
I
so.
think so, but
Why?
Alan looks so excited
Why?
about
I was
the
just about to say
idea.
why.
I'm actually
Yeah,
really excited
I
for
am
her
not
February
going on.
release next year. I'm really pumped
Ew.
for it.
For what? The next Crescent
That
City?
is
the next Crescent City book. Yeah.
that's a series I do read by her.
Is it good or is
I'm
it?
excited.
not
You
bad?
won't like it. Don't read her books. They're all.
I mean, you won't, Alan.
You
Alan,
wouldn't-
you won't like it.
You won't like it.
Is it? But why? Is it different? Is it the same as ACOTAR, but not with
no,
fairies?
It's
I don't read ACOTAR.
so
I don't
like
know.
there are
I can't
some
compare.
things that are consistent
choice,
about her
Laura.
writing all the time, but like I think it's a lot. I mean I think it's a lot better than most of the ACOTAR books, but it's
The
just-
world building. In
I
it
would
doesn't
like to
make
know
me
how
angry.
Alex feels about Sarah J Maas's writing.
I have literally no opinion on anything she's ever written. Because I do not punish myself like Alan does and
That's fair.
read it out of
It's from my
Fluctuation.
incredible self-loathing.
it's all of the writing.
No, I mean, I don't know. I like that she usually has a character, has to deal with inner trauma. Like that's usually a character in her book that's
like
dealing
that
with a
too.
thing. The main
If
love
you
interest
want
is
that,
only-
read Hobb. She makes it hurt so good.
But Hobb doesn't have good
I'm
sex
starting
scenes.
Hobb.
Hobb
I'm
has
so
weird
excited.
sex scenes.
That is true.
Fair.
that is true.
Read
And
Abercrombie.
well,
for
and I
sex.
also like I feel like Sarah J Maas also just has these little like cozy scenes in between the action where people are just like hanging out, and
For
I
me,
like
like,
That is
Like-
400 of the 450 pages of ACOTAR.
I agree that she should
20
be
of it is
edited
riddles.
more.
she should be edited more. But I do enjoy that. I enjoy the like interspersed scenes of like, and now we're just hanging out in the house and
No, it's incredibly cozy. If you like Sarah J Maas, her books are so cozy and familiar and formulaic in like that very comfortable way.
And you will be told all about how dangerous everything is, all the while sitting at the dinner table and never seeing any of it. But let me tell you, outside, it is incredibly dangerous. We're in the most danger we've ever been in. But let's just eat dinner and paint.
Again,
but Alan, that is the most cozy way to be in danger.
I'm in a stupid mask. Take the mask off, idiot.
Oh my goodness.
Do you ever add books to Goodreads as currently reading and then your mood changes?
I have a specific shelf I created on Goodreads called putting this one down for now, because it's just cluttering up my currently reading. And I'm like, okay, I'm not currently reading this, but I'm not DNFing it. So
I should do that. I just put it back on my to read shelf. Like if I'm not actively DNFing it, I just change it back to to be read.
I feel like I don't read enough to have to like declutter my Goodreads, because there's like the one book I'm reading, I'm just like update.
This is also why like me, so I still use Goodreads for like all of my reviews once I've actually like reviewed them in some format and stuff, but I use Storygraph for like my serotonin of I finished a book, but I don't have to like say anything meaningful yet. I'm just clicking the button and no one knows because no one follows me on Storygraph. So I don't care if things just stay on my currently reading on Storygraph for months. I just let it exist.
Yeah.
I mean, doesn't get edited.
She doesn't get edited enough. Like she's a huge best-selling author, and they don't. I mean, she does, but not to where the point she should be, probably.
Well, and keep in mind, her majority fan base read like 4 books a year, and one of them are hers, so it's fine for them that it's 1,000 pages. Like,
Hillary, I addressed that.
Shots fired. They only read 4 books a year if they're fans
I mean,
of hers.
I'm not saying that, but I mean, the average person in the country only reads like 1 or 2 books a year. Like reading is like a very niche hobby.
It is. Yeah.
We're special.
Which is why our largest booktubers are like 200,000 subscribers, because
so like, it wasn't a shot against people. It was more just like people don't read a lot.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. But also her books read really quickly too. Like even Crescent City has to be like 800 pages. And once you like get into it, you start moving through that.
Fly through
really
it.
Fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do fly through it.
Too long.
Much like the Terry Goodkind books.
And we're
Bethany, no, absolutely not. I will
No.
not stand for this.
How
dare you besmirch the good name of Terry Goodkind with this Sarah J Maas?
Okay, look, but it is also true that they are long books that once you get into them, you fly through them.
But I mean, I think that can be said for like anybody who's like, I mean, Hobb books are really long, but if you love them, you're like, I
don't think that's true for Hobb books. No,
I
mean, you can.
I use the same logic for like
maybe not
Stormlight Archive.
Point being, like, if you're really into a book and it's long, you don't mind that it's long because you're like, great, more of this stuff that I like.
No, but I don't think that that's true though. Like, I think there are certain books that have this like certain quality to them that it makes them a page turner.
Yeah.
And I mean,
part of it is her really
simple writing but you described Sarah J Maas's books not as page turners, but as cozy, casually faffing around, and I don't call it
I kind of get what Bethany is saying though, because some larger fantasy books, like the quality of writing is different. It does demand like more of your attention than something like reading an 800-page. Sarah J Maas.
Well, part of it is the thing that Alan's making fun of is the way she forms sentences is really easy to read.
I mean,
it is so easy to digest her sentences. It doesn't mean it's great prose by whoever's definition, but it's digestible.
By anybody's definition.
I'm trying not to be elitist. I don't know what good prose are or is. Whenever I say that on my channel, people always correct me and say prose is, and I'm like, it sounds dumb.
Oh.
No, it's a singular noun. You don't say. Like, you don't say, man, my money are load this week. You say my money is.
I'm just saying prose to me sounds plural, and I know I'm wrong, but
so does food and money, but it still uses the singular verb. My students mess that up all the time. When
I don't need a grammar lesson right now. I'm working on my thesis. I have to change tenses back because I'm bad at things. No.
Are you mixing your tenses in your thesis? Oh, Angela.
I'm not good at. I'm not
good at
grammar rescue.
How are you going to defend that? Go to Grammarly.
I wish I could do a video thesis. You know how great my video thesis would be? I'm prepped for that.
Use Grammarly.
But yeah, no, they're long.
it's like, I mean, Elle Woods did a video essay when she wasn't supposed to get into law school, and it worked. So maybe
I'm
you
fairly
should just
certain
do
that
a
isn't
video.
real.
Did you really just go Legally Blonde on us? Just
Yeah.
now?
That's a documentary, and that worked for her. So
I mean,
I've reviewed the historical documents, the historical
I love Elle
records.
Woods. She's
So,
a very strong female protagonist.
She
That
is.
movie is great, and the musical
The
underrated.
musical's better. I love the musical.
The musical's so
I
good.
haven't seen the musical.
It's fantastic.
It's
Really?
so good.
Yes,
Okay.
it is a Broadway musical that is not filled, overladen with heavy-handed ballads of people singing about how dang sad they are. Like,
How does
it
it compare to 1776?
Well, nothing. sorry if I like watching The Birth of Freedom, and it has freaking William Daniels.
Oh, comparing a jukebox fun movie to musical thing versus a Sondheim, Jesus. Because 1776 was Sondheim, right?
It's not. And when you said a jukebox fun musical, I thought you were talking about 1776.
No. Who did
That's the fun
1776? I thought it was Sondheim for some
It is
reason.
definitely not Sondheim. It's some dude that just did 1776, I think.
Okay. I was just asking, man.
Hold on.
I mean, he hit perfection on his first go, so why write anything else?
You can't. Freaking Nixon made him take out a song.
I think I'm thinking of what's the musical about the people who assassinated presidents? I think that was Sondheim.
That is Sondheim. Assassins.
That's the one I'm thinking of. Might be. Because Sondheim, man, is he wordy.
That's what's so
Thank
great
you,
about
Jessica.
Sondheim.
I'm just
Look,
kidding.
look.
It's not his only one. It's Sherman Edwards, but he did other stuff that I don't care
Yeah.
about. Elvis Presley crap that nobody cares about. 1776 is way better.
Alan,
Yeah,
were you-
I've been an actor since who knows how long. I haven't done it in forever because
Since you
I no
could
longer have time.
emote.
His greatest role to date is Hater of Me.
No.
I don't know.
All in
Resand's
I
pretty
was
good.
in-
Or
I was-
Lysand or whatever.
I was in a one-man show
Yeah.
about the Trojan War, and that is my favorite thing I've ever done because
Wow.
it's 90 minutes of reenacting the death of Achilles, and I really enjoy it. But I was also in Annie as FDR.
Not as Annie.
Because I got to wheel around in my polio wheelchair and just be like, Annie, solo for the president. You know, it's cool. I didn't have to dance. It was awesome.
Okay, out of curiosity, how many of us did theater?
Alex was the jock. He beat me up in high
I
school.
took a theater class. That was about it.
I played football, but I was on step team in high school, which no one knows about.
Was that like
Until
the
now.
step up movies?
Okay.
What'd you say?
Is that like the
Those
step
are
up movies?
different. Those are very different.
Why?
Those are very different than actual step team, but yeah, I was on step team for 4 years in high school.
How is that different?
Because the movies are like goofy and like
Yeah.
not actual step. That's all.
Yeah.
What is actual step?
What
Look
Alex
it up,
did.
Alan.
All right, I'm looking it up.
I
Alex,
just feel
you
like
have a
I just feel like the Venn diagram of like people like the nerdiness of theater or whatever, and the nerdiness of being a booktuber and perform. You know, like the performance plus nerdiness. Like I feel like there's probably a lot of that. You know,
I do also have a lot of friends who are actually really scared of public speaking who do booktube, and it's like because they can edit it, it's like okay, and it's like a different thing.
I mean, I wasn't a
Stepping.
theater kid and I didn't read that much in high school, but I played video games like every second of possible. So
Stepping is a form of
Same,
percussive
Alex.
dance in which the participant's entire body is used as an instrument to produce complex rhythms and sounds through a mixture of footsteps, spoken word, and hand. So is that like
Is this what it's like to be your student?
Right.
Alan, you're currently reminding me of everyone that tried to make fun of me in high school. for
I'm not
doing
trying
step,
to
and they
make
look
fun of you.
exactly
I'm
like
trying to
that.
do it.
They
I
He's
know.
not trying, he's succeeding.
I'm saying that is what everyone does when they're like, "Oh, step team, is this what you do?"
I'm just trying and failing.
Yeah, it's really cool to watch if you ever get a chance. Sometimes in Boston, step teams will be downtown, and it's really cool.
Fast.
Well, you guys can keep talking as I have to go because I have to be up early.
that's okay. It is late. It's almost like 11 here. So
No, it's barely 8 o'clock.
Okay, California.
okay, California. Yes, there you go.
All right.
Is it still on fire?
I hope so.
I mean, is
Jeez.
it fire season? I don't know.
Just if it's near Atlanta's house.
Yeah,
I
don't think
checked
it's on
my
house level.
weather app today because it looked kind of like overcast, and I was like, "Is it overcast?" And it's just unhealthy air for sensitive groups, is why the air looks like that today. So
Great.
we're doing good.
That's nice.
All right. Well,
it's been fun,
guys.
everybody. And I think we're gonna.
Oh, we're just ending. Okay, I'll just stay till you end it then.
No, we can end. Well, because it's almost 11 here too, so I'm like, we might as well. We've been talking for like 2 hours, so it's been fun. Thanks to everybody for joining, and everybody's channels are linked in the video description. If you don't already follow them, you should definitely go do it. They're all great. So, bye.